Yes, that'll teach me to start eating while the intro is on. Yes, good morning. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. It is Tuesday. Big day today. Lubo and I are going to Leyton Orient to watch Leyton Orient play Mansfield. So we're going to actually see a team that play with some passion, some heart, some fight, and maybe some quality in midfield. Rain is here. Look at him. He looks beautiful, doesn't he? Stell looks beautiful. Look at them. They look magnificent. It's an all-Greek crew. Gentlemen, how are we? Are we staying up? How are we doing? Happy Tuesday. I mean, don't all rush at once to talk. I mean, you know, like, hi.
Do you know what it is? It's the hesitation of, before I go negative, what can I positively say just to not go negative from the off? And it's thinking what to say, then you realise there's nothing to say. So just hello, hi everyone.
It's so difficult, isn't it? Because everyone keeps saying, be positive, be positive. You lot are so negative. And I'm like, all right, but can someone give me something that I'm meant to be positive about? But Rain, you okay? You good?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, life's all right. Are we? I mean, I'm going to analyze. I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to analyze the situation. That's the way that I've always treated it. I've said it before. I'm the type of football fan. When I was growing up, I had a non-league team that I went to every single, even before I was a Spurs fan. You know, I used to go there as a kid. You know, I used to walk age 7 down the road near my school and go to the non-league game. We went up 3 times, we came down 2 times. I've seen promotion, relegation, so I get it. There's a lot of Spurs fans who've never seen any of this, and it will have an impact on us. But you know, a lot of people see promotion and relegation all the time, right? So
maybe that's our next 20 years. Maybe we're going to be like Leeds and Norwich and QPR and these teams. We're going to go yo-yoing up and down the league. But look, just quickly, the poll on the left-hand side, I'm trying this out, this new little widget on StreamYard. If you press 1, there's a fucking fly in my house that is annoying me. If you press 1, you think we're going to have 30 points at the end of the season. That means you think we're getting no more. Press 2 for 31 to 33 points. Press 3 for 34 to 37. And press 4 for 38 plus. That's a button we discovered is for Lubo, who said we were going to get 18 points from our last 12 games. And so far, we've got 1 from 6. Guys, look, it's an interesting one. On a serious note, it's an interesting one, right? Because as much as we laugh and joke, this is a real perilous position for Tottenham. We've been saying for ages, there's games. This is a must win. That's the game, Stell Forest. That's the game, the West Ham game. That's the game. Son, we're not winning any of these games at the moment. And yet still we're going into the weekends going, well, this is the important one. Have we run out of the important games when you look at who we've got left to play in terms of Brighton, the most informed team in the country, Chelsea and Villa away, both chasing Champions League football. Everton will come to our ground. They've got the 3rd best away record in the country and they're chasing Europe. Is it done? Have we run out of chips to play here?
Yes. Yeah, I am. When a lot of fans were saying the Crystal Palace game was that's the must-win one, I always said I disagree. For me, it was the Forest game because that's a proper 6-pointer. That's a team that's chasing us. That's a team that if we beat, we put distance between us and them. For me, the Nottingham Forest game was the one that I looked at to say that will make me decide what I think. And when we got battered in that game, after the game, I said, that's it for me. I think we're going to go down, but it's out of our hands now. It's down to the others. And if West Ham beat Wolves and put us in the drop zone, we're not getting out of it. They put us in the drop zone. And what happened? Couldn't handle the pressure. We can't get out of it. We stayed in it. unable to beat Sunderland. We've lost Romero for the season as well. Kudus is out for the season. Leeds United smashing Man United. It's all going wrong. Everything is falling apart around us. Injuries, our opposition picking up unbelievable wins. Like Leeds have not won at United since '81, and they go and do that. And we out of all the teams in the Premier League, there is no doubt, and no Spurs fan will deny it, we are the worst team to watch with the least amount of fight. Even when you play badly, you can still get something. If you just fight, you never know. We don't even show that. So for me, we're in the bottom three, and Spurs will not get out of that bottom three now, and we're going to get relegated. That's my honest opinion, Savva.
I mean, look, I don't disagree with that. I mean, Rain, is the more worrying thing, and I don't make Still wrong in anything he said there, is the more worrying thing, latching on from his last part of that statement, that for anyone that watched Leeds last night, for anyone that's seen the Forest games they're playing at the moment, these teams look like they know they're in a battle. They are fighting. Like Leeds smothered Man United yesterday. They should have been 4 or 5-0 up. That's what's more worrying. It's not that we're just not winning games, that we don't look like. I know Lubo pretends, we had 7 shots on target, but we don't look like winning games, Rain, do we? We don't look like we're in them.
I mean, it's been a massively competitive Premier League this season, which is, a massive reason why we are where we are, because there haven't, in previous seasons, like last season, the reason why we ended up 17th and not 18th is because the bottom three were cut adrift. They were absolutely, we were 22 losses, right? It is relegation form in any season. But last season was a bit extraordinary. It should have been the canary in the coal mine that woke people up to the perilous situation that we're in, that we've been in for quite some time. So this season, we've seen the Sunderland, we've seen the Brentfords, going. Everybody's getting points off each other. We have to remember at the start of the season. Actually, Lubo mentioned it last night on Spurs 5. And we mentioned it here over the weekend, Sav. In October, we were third, right? In October, we were third after beating Everton away. And without those points, we would probably be below Burnley right now. You know what I mean? We would be well inside that bottom. We would be close to getting relegated like Wolves.
The bottom three last season was Southampton with 12, Ipswich 22, and Leicester 25. So those three were gone by like January, Feb, right? They were gone. The problem we've got now is we're on course, by the way, to lose as many games as last season. If we don't pick up another point, we will lose 22 again. Problem is, this year, you're right. West Ham looked like they were going to be cut adrift. They had a good January. Whatever people want to say about that, they had a good January. They're fighting. Leeds, they're fighting. Forest brought in Vitor Pereira. They're fighting. And that's the difference, right? Last year, we were basically battling no one for relegation. This year, we're battling 3 teams. Maybe Leeds have pulled away, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
So it fights against this instinct everybody has, yeah, and it's definitely been eroded. There are still some people who are on that train that they're predicting results based on the name of the team rather than the form and what's happening and what's been happening in the last. Exactly, right? West Ham have been rubbish, and we even saw it at the start of the season. Sunderland is a really good example. I was on here on a couple of, and I was saying, Sunderland, they've got a really well put together squad. You can see why they're picking up points, and people were like, no, it's Sunderland. No. Stop looking at the name and start looking at the players, the squad, and actually doing some critical thinking, right? Right now, West Ham, Forest, Leeds, the last 10 games, they've all started picking up the type of points you need to drag yourself up and away. And we aren't. I think the biggest problem with us is that our players are slowly realizing that they're not as good as the hype that has made them think that they're super brilliant players. You can see it every time they're out there. There's this doubt in them. You can see it in their eyes. There's doubt and there's fear, and that will drag you down. There's a little thing over my right shoulder, which is the fear litany from June, which I'm a big, I read these as a kid and I absolutely love them. Read the June books. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is what will kill us, and that's what's killing our players.
Well, it is. I mean, still, if we look here, by the way, get your OK jerseys, all your World Cup tops, and they've got retro kits. So for anyone that hates this version of Spurs, you could go and get some retro kits for when Spurs were actually a decent team. Maybe a cheeky little Holston, top, from the days of Lineker and Gaza, etc. Still, when we look at this table, I want to draw your attention to the last 6 games that the teams have played on the right-hand side. Now, just to put it in perspective, still, in the last 10, Tottenham have got 3 points. Right? In the last 10, we got 3 draws. When you look at the last 6 games, and that's what matters, right? Because these are the running games. West Ham have got, if I'm not wrong, that's 8 points. Right? Well, 2 wins, 2 draws, 8 points from 18. Right? Nottingham Forest have got 6 points from 18. Leeds have got 6 points from 18. Tottenham have got 1 point from 18. Isn't this now at the stage of pure embarrassment that, I'm not expecting 18 points from 18 when we sack a manager, but I'm expecting maybe 1 win in the 6, maybe 5 or 6 points from 18. Is this now just really embarrassing?
It's been embarrassing for 6 years.
Oh.
It's been embarrassing for 6 years. The big issue we've got is that if you look at that table up on the screen, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, and West Ham were all teams that we played at home in the last 14, and we lost all 3. We lost to West Ham, we lost to Forest recently, and we lost to Palace before Forest. So if you look at the actual relegation scrap, the 6 pointers, we actually played Palace, Forest, and West Ham at our ground, and we lost, not even draw. We lost each one. Yeah, that's why we are in. That's not the big picture as to why we're in the mess. That's why we've been sucked into this relegation scrap, because the teams we needed to beat, we lost. Like you look at last,
and it's not just points. It's not just points, still. It's also belief. So when we're losing to them, we're losing belief, and we're giving belief to each of them to then keep going, and that's what they've done.
Look, the other day, West Ham played Wolves. That's a 6-pointer. West Ham had to beat Wolves. They beat them. Right? This weekend, I think Forest or Leeds have got Burnley at home. They have to beat them. I put money they'll beat them. They will win that 6-pointer. Whereas us, we just haven't won those games. Like, if we'd beaten Palace and drawn against Forest, the situation would be still desperate, but it'd be very different. Now it's like, well, we've got to go and beat Chelsea. We've got to beat Villa. We've got to beat Brighton. Well, hold on a minute. They're better than the 6-pointer teams. So how are we going to do that? I honestly believe, Savva, by a combination of poor signings, poor coaching, no identity of how we want to go about our football, we've wrecked our players. I think the players we've wrecked. Not to say that they're brilliant and that had they been coached magnificently, they would have been far better than what we're seeing. But I do think they would have been better than this. But I think a combination of too many managers, too many football directors, no idea of what we're doing with transfer windows, just dropping random players into the squad. Like there's Sousa. Go and save the season. What with Sousa? Really? Okay. You know, signing Mateus Tell and Ben Davies as your first two signings of the season. I mean, what was that about? How do you start a new campaign by signing Tell and Ben Davies? In what world of the Big Six does that make any sense? But again, we accept it. So when you add it all together, that's why I've been Enoch out and Levy out for so long, because I'm just sick to death of it. And I'll say this as well. When I look at Tottenham now, I can honestly say that I've got no idea as to why De Zerbi was the right man to get us out of this situation. And I like him as a coach. I'm so glad he's our coach if we're going to actually do something long-term with him. And when we signed him, I said, maybe we'll stay up, maybe because there's something about him. But I don't know if that will be. You know, I need to wait and see what happens. But was he the right guy for this moment, this particular battle? Or does it even matter anymore? Is it too late? Does it matter?
I like him as a manager, but I genuinely think that he was... Listen, we could talk about money, but for his reputation, for him possibly being in the Championship next year, I think he's batshit crazy to take this job with 7 games to go.
Like, but he got paid insane money, Savva, didn't he? He got a deal he'll never see again in his life. He'll never see that kind of a deal.
Absolutely get it. From a footballing point of view, though, it's absolutely crazy. Listen, we would all take that, right? Because let's be fair, if we go down, he'll just be one of a number of people who took us down. He won't be the reason we went down. Guys, I want to... I was laying in bed last night, as you do, and scrolling through YouTube, and I saw a really good analysis from Jamie Carragher. Now, again, I don't care people who like a pundit or not. Pundits get things right. Pundits get things wrong. I don't care if you like Carragher or not, you lot. But he gave a really good assessment for me, Stel, as to why Spurs are struggling because of our midfield. Right, now, this is something that I know you've talked about this season. It's something I've been talking about for years, that I don't think Spurs for 3, 4, 5 years have sorted out our midfield. Right? So I'm going to play it. Hopefully I won't get demonetized. I will. Thank you, Sky Sports. This is Sky Sports. This is not my own footage. But I want to see what you guys think about this. So it's about 1.5 minutes. I just want to see what you guys think about this, because I was watching along, and you know when you just nod at something, you know when you just nod and go, yeah, you've nailed this, but yet most of our fans can't quite get there. Let me know what you think.
I want to just go back to the midfield, and I don't want to be picking on young players, because I actually think Bergval and actually they've been two of the better players for Tom. The 2 young kids. I'm just looking at that midfield, and I was really worried yesterday after the game, and it was because of the midfield area. The 2 young kids learning the trade going to get you out of relegation battle. Conor Gallagher's come in, who the manager likes because he's tried to buy him, but it just hasn't worked for him so far at Spurs. Listen, we know he's been a decent Premier League player, but it's just not happened for him at all. And that has been a problem from the very start of the season, their central midfield. Now, we keep saying Spurs, and Roy's right, they've got quality players. Well, a lot of the attacking ones are injured, but they've got a back 4. Yes, their Europe's decent. Okay, Romero's out. But obviously, you've got Van der Ven in there. Top defender, 2 fullbacks who are decent as well. But the one area I look at in terms of centre midfield, I do think the teams they're fighting against, West Ham have got a better central midfield than Tottenham. So have Nottingham Forest, and so have Leeds. So that is my one big worry for Tottenham in terms of going down. And when you think about something he's got to do different, he needs to fix midfield, because that has been a problem for 3 managers already. It's only De Zerbi's first game, but you can see when you compare the stats to Granit Xhaka, it's a huge problem.
When you look at the Spurs midfield, Jamie, you're on about what are they really good at? Because you have to hang your hat on something if you're going to play in the Premiership. Are they really good going forward? Are they a real goal threat? You go, no, not really. They're not technically great. They're not good at getting on the half turn. Well, are they amazing defensively? They're not great at that either. So that, you know, talking about the spine of your team, that is a huge part of the game.
I want to just go back to the...
I mean, guys, look, sorry that I made you sit through 90 seconds there, but I watched that and I thought, yes, other than the first sentence, which I didn't agree with, which was Bergvall being one of our better players, but it got it absolutely spot on still, right? That when you look at our midfield, it is so worrying that Leeds, who got promoted last year, West Ham, who everyone was saying, oh my God, Souček's crap, Fernandez is crap, and Nottingham Forest, right? Who everyone laughed at. And these three clubs all have better midfields than us, not by a little bit still. I think by a country mile, these teams have better midfields than Spurs. How much of a worry is that when you think you've coached? That's your engine room. That's your everything goes through your midfield. Man City, when you take Rodri out, that's your midfield. What did you make of that?
I agree to it to an extent, but I don't fully agree with it. And I'll tell you why. If you want to control a game, if you want to dominate a game, if you want to boss it, especially possession-wise, then yeah, you've got to look at midfield and say, we got the midfield for it. Having said that, though, if you know that's your weakness, then you've got to focus on the flanks. And what I've seen this year more than anything, and I think it's the biggest problem at Spurs, bigger than the midfield. And the midfield is a problem. It is. When we get the ball to the front three, it is shocking. That the quality of the shots are shocking. The reluctance to shoot from outside the box, but to look for a pass instead is shocking. The quality of our crosses. I mean, there was a moment yesterday in the dying minutes where Porro, he's crossed the ball into the upper tier of the stand behind the goal. So I think the biggest problem at Spurs, and I'm just talking about just winning a couple of games, is the front three. Because when we do get the ball to them, mate, they're not even close to the levels that we've been used to at Tottenham, which is why in the January window, I was saying, please, can we just sign some goal scorers? I don't care if they play left wing, right wing, number 10, number 8, I don't care what position they play. Can we get players that can actually get some goals? Because even against Sunderland, we had one or two half decent-ish chances. And I'm watching like Richarlison p-roll it into the... But how many times have I seen Richarlison do that? That wasn't the first time I've seen him do that. And I'm watching us miss headers. We're missing headers from 6 yards out. I've seen us do that. So, yes, the midfield controls a game and the midfield stops the opposition from putting the pressure on you. I agree. But I actually think, Savva, our biggest issue is the front three. It's freaking horrendous. It is... I'm lost.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I think the front three is god awful as well. I'm just talking about from this particular conversation, guys. Like, I mean, Rain, the worrying thing there, you see Roy Keane say, well, what is that midfield good at? Is it technically good? No. Is it good going forward? No. Can it control games? No. Do any of them pass the ball well? No. Now, individually, you might take one of them out of a team, put them into a better setup, and it works, right? Like we've seen Conor Gallagher at Chelsea. It works when he's in and around a setup. Archie Gray might be very good in a team where he is one of three, but the other two are controlling a game and whatever it may be. But the worrying thing for me, Rain, is that De Zerbi, in his first game, has come in and ignored Paulinho, who's got the most tackles in the Premier League. Not just for Spurs, by the way, Rain. He's got the most tackles in the Premier League, right? And only played 59% of our games.
It's bonkers.
And Xavi Simons, who is, whatever people think about him, the only player at Spurs that can create. Are you a bit shocked at what was De Zerbi thinking when he put that midfield out? And what do you make of Carragher and Keane's assessment?
So I saw something else that they said as well. I saw the assessment of our goal, of their goal against us, and how Gallagher overran a tackle. He was checked. The Forest player was going right. He checked. Gallagher overran. The ball then went left. Gray had been sort of tracking a midfielder, and it ended up basically further back than our centre backs, which I think I showed in our post match review. You know,
Yeah.
I was saying, if you look, Gray, who should be, patrolling that D, has ended up. Yeah, we just get pulled all over the place. Whereas if you look at Sunderland and the way that they worked, and you were saying this before, they've got footballers who understand, you know, how to interact within that central midfield.
Yeah.
And so, whilst we had Gallagher and Gray and Bergvall, and everybody's losing their mind about how rubbish they were, what everybody's missing is that with Sunderland, their players were interacting in that central midfield and they were flooding it. So Gallagher and Gray were getting overrun. They had two players instead of a single duel to concentrate on. That's why Gray was getting pulled, right? I don't blame him, because he should be tracking a player who's making a run into the box. But the problem is, if he's making that run, somebody else should be, you know, on a swivel. Gray's got. I need to now go and cover. I need to go and help my mate. That D on the edge of the penalty area where we're conceding so many goals from is now vacant. I now need to help and go and do that. And that's what Paulinho was doing for us so well at the start of the season, because he's got that kind of mindset of there's danger positions, there's danger areas, and we need to make sure that those are filled. The other thing in the Carragher-Keane interaction, which wasn't in that X clip, is Keane was asked, so what were your roles when you were playing, you know, with Scholes or Ince, or, you know, all of these different midfielders who you played with? And he said, well, firstly, it was easier because it was always just 2v2. So it was easier, but we didn't really have roles. What we did was one person went forwards, and if they went forwards, then I knew that I needed to tuck in behind them. If I went forwards, then they would tuck in behind me. And that doesn't come naturally. That kind of intelligence, that understanding of how football works, comes from long training, long coaching of do the right thing, do the right thing, do the right thing. And unfortunately, it just looks like our players just don't have that positional awareness, that situational awareness, that means that when somebody gets dragged out of position, a mate actually goes and helps them. Do you know what I mean?
But Rain, the problem is, right, and so I'll bring you in 1 second still. So my mate Glenn, who's probably in the chat, sends me a lot of data. He works in data and statistics, sends me a lot of data. And he said he's been doing a lot of work on the last 3, 4, 5 years at Spurs. And he says the one thing you realise is just how often Spurs chop and change the team, right? And said no one gets to build any relationships. So he said, we always go on about this player's not good enough, that player's not good enough. But what are we actually judging them on? We're judging them on, they're in the game in the team one game, they don't play for 4, then they're back in and we go, oh, they're shit. One game they're playing central midfield, next game they're playing attacking midfield. And he said to me, if you actually use Gallagher as the basis of this, he said Gallagher started 9 games for Tottenham, right? Under 3 different managers in 9 games, right? In that time, Spurs have played 6 different formations, right? And Conor Gallagher has played in 5 different positions. Now, I'm not saying we can talk about this for Bergvall, for Gray, for Sarr, right? And the problem that you've got is when fans just go, I'm seeing loads of people going, Gallagher's the worst signing Spurs have ever made. Well, sure, but how about we judge a player when he's actually put into a team that has an actual setup and you have an actual partnership for 5-10 games with a player in the same formation? And the problem with Spurs, and he did this since see again, like people aren't getting it. Dude, I think they've all been shocking. This isn't just about Gallagher. No one can tell me in the last 10, 13 games since Gallagher's been here that any of them have played well, right? But the point is for me is, if Spurs at any point don't get a settled team, lads, where you go, right, that's the midfield two. They're going to play 10 games together. Right, they're the two wingers. They're going to play 10 games. And if Spurs don't get this at any time soon, how can we actually expect, you know what you're talking about, Rain, you know, that kind of, that telepathic nature of knowing what your partner's going to do. That
Exactly.
Because we're not even playing the same formation every game. So you can't even just say, right, well, let's slot this player in because they all know the system. We've played, just for example, since January, since Gallagher's been here, we've played 3-5-2, 3-4-3, 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. Like, how does Gray, as a young midfielder, get used to being in that scenario? How does Tell, I don't rate some of these players, but how does Tell get the consistency when one game he's on the left wing, then he's not playing for free? For me, that's what this boils down to more, rather than everyone picking their one scapegoat of a footballer.
Yeah.
I don't know how any of these players, whether I rate them or not, Stel, I don't know how any of them are actually meant to show their capabilities when it's just a constant moving piece.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Paulinho and Xavi should start every single game for Tottenham out of the current available players, right? When fans say, oh, but Paulinho this, oh, but Paulinho that, I'm like, okay, all right, let me pretend I agree with you. Let's say Paulinho is a 6 out of 10, right? He's a 6. I disagree with that, but let's just pretend he's a 6 out of 10. Any other player we've got in that position is less than a 6 out of 10. So why would you not play Paulinho? Even if you don't rate him, he's better than anybody else we've got in that role. And it's the same with Xavi Simons, right? If you think Xavi Simons has been a letdown, he's not been great, fine, let's go with it. Xavi Simons is a 5 out of 10. Who else that's played in the 10 is better than a 5 out of 10? None of them. We don't have a single player that is better than Xavi. Even if you think Simons is average, then everyone else is below average in that position. So in terms of just having someone who plays in the 10 and someone who plays in the 6, you have to play Paulinho and you have to play Simons, because Bissouma, Sarr, Gallagher, Gray, Bergvall, all of them so far, if they play in a 6 or a 10, they've not been as good as what Simons and Paulinho have been, even if you think Paulinho and Simons are average. And the other issue I've had all freaking season with Frank, with Tudor, and now with De Zerbi is stop playing a front three. We don't have 3 good players up front.
Agreed.
We are horrendous. It's like playing with 9 men. Go 1 up top or 2 up top. That's it. What I want to see us do, play with the back 4, play with 1 holding mid, push the fullbacks up high, and play with 2 in the 10. I've said this along. I actually think Moani in the 10 can do something. I'm not saying he's great. I don't think he's a solution. I hope he leaves at the end of the season. But Simons is better when there's 2 in the 10, because that's how we played at Leipzig. So I want to see 1 holding mid that protects the back 4 when the fullbacks push up. So instead of being Romero and Van der Ven, you've still got Paulinho there that can shift left and right and cover the counter-attacks on the flanks when our fullbacks push up high. Play 2 in the 10 that can actually cause a little bit of mayhem, double the creation level, you hope, and have 2 up top, not 3. But no manager wants to do that. No manager at Spurs so far has come and done that. And all I see is we lose every week, Savva.
When you say 2 in the 10, are you thinking like this or something along those lines?
No, because Graham Basuma wouldn't be on the pitch.
Okay, so what are you?
A 4. Hold on. So the way I would do it is a 4. It's a 5, 6. Yeah. So I'd have almost Savva, a 4-2-2-2, but with the fullbacks pushed up high.
So the fullbacks pushing up high, the fullbacks in line with the centre backs. That's whether you've got the ball or not.
Simons would be more central. Yep, and so would Moani, and the fullbacks bomb up the flanks. And if we get caught out with 2 at the back, you've got Paulinho there to cover.
Something like that.
Yes, but with the fullbacks pushing up, yeah. So you could say, because this is exactly what Leipzig did. And you know what? I'm not saying we're going to play like Leipzig, but with the players we've got, this is the best way I would play until if we had Mohamed Kudus back and Maddison, then yeah, you don't do this. But with the players we've got, what we keep doing is 3-5-2 or 4-3-3, and it doesn't work. We can't do it. We don't have the players for it.
And that was the thing that worried me still was, with the formation that he picked against Sunderland, it's like, if you're going to play 3 men in central midfield, you've got to at least pick 3 that have 3 different skill sets. Do you know what I mean? You've got to pick 3 that really vary and mix it up. But he left all of the kind of variation on the bench, didn't he? Like, Paulinho is the destroyer. He is the guy that makes the tackles. Xavi Simons is the creator. And yet instead we got, and I'll say it, guys, sorry, I'll say it. I do not know what Bergvall is. I know I keep getting to, I've seen him for 2 years now. I don't know what Bergvall does as a footballer to get all of this. He's great. Chelsea want him. Liverpool. I don't know what he does. Gray, again, I think Gray for me is a top championship footballer that could develop into a nice Premier League player. Gallagher, I know what he is, but he's not in this system. I know what he is. He's a box-to-box midfielder in a settled team where he's got 1 DM and 1 playmaker. But he's not that. And that's my worry still. I make you absolutely right. The 4-3-3 doesn't work. You can't keep playing centre forwards out wide. It does not work. Mawani's offering nothing from that right wing, right? It does not work. And so I'll ask this. If you're a fullback, right, and you see that you're up against Richie and Mawani, in the changing room before the game, you're probably thinking, I don't mind this. They're not natural wingers. I don't mind this. I'll fancy my chances here.
Well, Mawani's just shot to pieces. Like he's one of the worst signings we've ever made. He came.
Agreed.
Don't forget, he came in because we had an issue up front with the injuries. He came in essentially to be a 9. He's done nothing. He's done absolutely nothing in that role. And the only time I've seen him do something is when he's been in that 10 and he's fed balls in, and we've got a couple of goals from it. So that's why I say maybe play him there.
Yeah.
You look at the goal against Sunderland. Worrying. We're 18th. So fucking
no. What I'm saying is it's worrying that we're having to rely on people like Mawani because we've got no other options.
Forget it.
But clearly the guy doesn't want to be here. But literally, we've got no wide men. I mean, look, Rain, let me show you this, right? Let me show you this. So,
Savva, by the way,
just on Mawani quickly, the red flag was there at the very start in Frank's first interview after we signed Mawani, because there was no comment. He went, "This is great because he can also play wide left," and so many of us who'd seen him at Frankfurt when he was good went, no. He's an in the box player. That's where he was really, really good. And we've never played him there. And I make Stell right. If you're gonna get the best out of a player like Mawani, you play him as a 10. Preferably you play him up front because that's where he wants to play. But you play him as a 10. I'm not sure he's suited to the Premier League as a 9. But you play him in a 10 because then he doesn't have to do a lot of running. He can be a little focal point. He can do what he wants to do. And then you can just let him leave in the summer and wave bye-bye to him.
Savva, the other thing with Paulinho, right? And it infuriates me the disrespect Paulinho gets from this fan base.
Agreed.
When I hear fans criticize Paulinho, in my head, all I'm thinking is, you haven't got a fucking clue about talent ID. You really don't know what a good player looks like. The goal that Sunderland scored is exactly where Paulinho would have been on the pitch. That is exactly where he would have been positioned as the players coming into the middle. You're seeing players half-heartedly try and stop the player on the ball. Then we're waiting for Van der Ven to step out of position into Paulinho's position to put in a block. Paulinho would have been there. That's what he does. So we took out the player that would have actually probably stopped that goal from happening. And then people say to me, oh, but Paulinho this, Paulinho that. Well, look at the alternative then. You've got Archie Gray in the 6. You've got Gallagher in the 6, who in my opinion isn't a 6. It doesn't work.
Yeah, great.
And then we bring on Pape Sarr. We bring on Pape Sarr.
Let me answer that. Still, let me answer that. Morning all. I wanted to see when I got back. I watched the highlights last night before I came on for the Spurs 5. I wanted to see where Gray was, because he was meant to be the 6, wasn't he? And he was miles off his man. He was too far back. Sunderland guy, as Rain said, has run across. Gray has gone across, which has left the gap in the middle. No one's filled in there. Now, if Paulinho had been on the pitch, I'm sure he'd have been closer to the Sunderland player than Gray was. But Paulinho would have been pulled across to cover the run. Instead of staying there, you can't let a guy run unopposed, unmarked into a penalty area. You just put the ball.
Paulinho gets the tackling, Lubo.
Yeah, but
Paulinho's
he's got it up there to know where to be, right? This is the problem. That Gray isn't experienced. He doesn't listen. When you watch that goal back, I saw Carragher and Keane again talk about that goal yesterday, and they said, you could pick a number of Spurs players that you look at Gray. You look at Gray and Gallagher. Like, it was shocking for 2 central midfielders to allow him to do that. You look at Udogi's positioning. Look at Van der Ven's defending for that goal. Showed me why when people talk to me about him being an £80 million defender, get on your bike. Like, he had no clue how to close. So you look at that goal, and it was all of them. But I want to show you this, guys, right? Because
Savva, didn't you say yesterday that Paulinho's defensive tackling stats is like the best in the club or one of the best in the league or something?
There's the league.
Right. So the reason these stats are so high, right, is for 3 reasons. Number 1, he makes tackles. Number 2, he's in the right position to make tackles. And the reason he can do both of those is because he can read the game. He reads the game. And this is why I say I think he will stop it. The stats don't lie.
He's got the most tackles. Hang on, he's got the most tackles in the Premier League, and he's only played 59% of our games. Imagine if he had played 100% of our games. And the worrying thing for me is we are in a relegation battle where you are going to need tackles. You are going to need men. You are going to need fight. And De Zerbi, Tudor, Frank, they have all left this bloke on the bench so that we can experiment with kids. And I'm sorry. As I said, I'm not blaming them. I don't blame them. I feel sorry for them. But this whole Gray, there seems to be, I saw before the game at the weekend, and still, I think you might have been live with me when I said it. I don't know if Rain was. Said before the game that Alistair Gold said, watching Spurs line up in the rondo, watching them warm up in the rondo. Gray is the only one in the middle, and everything is going into Gray. Everything is, and he's going to be the main man. And you're like, that's brilliant. Then you get into the game, and Gray looked like a boy because he's not ready.
Still, hang
on, before you jump in and defend Gray with all your honour.
I'm not defending. I'm just
hang on. But the problem was when the game started. It's very different being in a rondo, and you're the main man, and everything goes through you. When Gray plays in that game, you're asking a hell of a lot of a 20-year-old, right, to be the main man at the base of a midfield. And what did he do? Every time he got the ball, you could see it was 5 yards back to Van der Ven, 5 yards to him, because he did the safe thing. And I feel for Archie Gray because he should not be put in that position. De Zerbi should know better. That should be Paulinho in front of the back 4. I don't care whether it's Gallagher or Basuma, someone experienced in the 8 and Xavi Simons in the 10, and go back to fucking basics, because
it's like we've forgotten Makelele and Kante, right? Sure. These guys did
Victor
nothing. Victor Wanyama did absolutely nothing except screen. But you know what? Whilst they were doing nothing but that, it meant everything to the team. it enabled absolutely everybody to do their roles. And obviously still you still get the people who go, oh, you know, those players were rubbish because they had no assists or goals, because those fans have got no football IQ.
I think Paulinho is our fourth top scorer.
He is. I think Paulinho's our fourth top scorer. He is with Solanke. I think he's joint fourth with
he's got Solanke.
Hang on, guys.
Do you know almost like Savva? Do you know what though?
Hang on.
Ali Gold. He's part of this misleading cartel that we've got. Where do you know when De Zerbi did a couple of training sessions? Tottenham Hotspur do what they always do. They put the training videos out. I went into the comments and I felt sick. All I saw was finally a proper coach. Finally someone that gets involved. Finally this. Finally that. Look at De Zerbi telling them what to do. Look at the players working hard. And I put a comment in the YouTube video. I said, guys, can we for once stop getting giddy about a training session? Can we stop looking at a 10-minute clip and thinking the world has now finally realised that Spurs are going to be amazing? Can we wait and see what we do in a live competitive game and not judge by a training session? And then you watch us in the game. It looked nothing like the training session, which goes back to this rondo. It's great doing unopposed practice drills that develop technique. But the difference between technique and skill, and I'm just sharing some coaching knowledge, the difference between technique and skill is technique is unopposed. Skill is showing technique when you're opposed. Can you do it when someone's trying to put one on you, push you off the ball, tackle you, pressure you? That is skill. And what Tottenham do in training is they practice technique. When it comes to the skill, we lose every week.
What's that noise?
It's outside.
Somebody got to be drilling outside.
Yeah, there's some drilling outside. Okay, right, no worries.
So these
videos are technical exhibitions. The match is the skill.
They are. It's all PR still. They're just PR. If you look at that list of who's made the most tackles, I think most of those top players, take Everton out, top four, three of the top four are in teams that are three of the bottom five.
Yeah, and then if you look down in seventh, you've got Matheus Fernandes of West Ham in there as well.
West Ham, Palace are lower. They're bottom half as well. Yep. So apart from the Ghana and the Bournemouth boy, and that's why you need a six.
No, you need to close your window.
The window's closed. The window's closed. The team that's struggling, unfortunately, needs the six.
Yeah,
you've got to have the six. But I was listening to what you guys were talking about for the last 15, 20 minutes. It's no wonder that we're where we are because of there's no continuity. There's nothing. It's change. Players are being asked to play in different roles, match to match, with different partners. Yep. So how are you going to get? You don't build partnerships, do you? And
this is what I don't think a lot of fans understand, Lubo. When we go, oh, that player's been dropped in. He's shit. You're like, all right, cool. Like people say, I always stick up for Gallagher, but can anyone tell me 2 games in a row where someone like Gallagher's played in the same 11 in the same formation with the same partner? Like you can't just drop people in and out. Same with Tell. Same with Odeberg. Same with next game. Does anyone think the next game is going to be the same 11 as this week?
No, for sure.
Right. So again,
Sam, I think there'd be a meltdown if there was, because there was so many wrong selections. Surely he's seen it. So someone with De Zerbi's ability surely would have seen where he went wrong in the first game.
Sure, but the problem again, then you've got Lubo, and I'm not suggesting play the same 11 because I think he got it terribly wrong. The problem you've got again is from match to match, it is different formation, different partners. Like next week, I reckon he will go back to a Paulinho Basuma type style. I think he's got to. I think whatever we think about Basuma, I'm going to say this now, whatever we think about Basuma, his professionalism, his attitude, that boy for me should be a no-brainer in this 11. He is miles better than Gray. He is miles better than Bergvall. He is miles better than Sarr. for me, he's got to start games. He's got to, because right now we don't have time for these experiments with young players. We don't. It's killing our midfield. It's killing the midfield massively.
The problem is, Sav, you've got a 6 who you should be playing. You've got a 10 who you should be playing, and of the players that are available for an 8 to dominate, there is nobody that you can trust. Would you put your house on Basuma turning up on Saturday and playing well or playing shit? Nobody knows. No one. We know he's got ability.
Yeah, but I've got evidence that he does come in sometimes and have great games. The problem I've got with Gray, Bergvall, Gallagher in a Spurs shirt, I've not seen these boys have great games where I go, if that version of him turns up, then we're good. At least with Basuma, we saw it in the Europa League run-in. I thought Basuma was integral in the two semis and the final. I thought Basuma put in great performances, putting out fires, working hard. I know he's enemy number one. And this isn't about me saying he should be here next year, Lubo. But right now,
it's just
none of what we're seeing should be about next year or how De Zerbi wants to play long term. Everything we're seeing now should be, how do we stay up? And let me show you this, Lubo, right? So my mate Glenn, who's my data guy, he sent me this. And make of it what you will, people. Make of this what you will, right? This is every Spurs player. Let me remove that banner for a second. This is every Spurs player this year with the number of starts. The first column is wins. Second column is defeats. And the last column is draws. The number of points that player's been involved in, the win average, the lose average, the draw average, points per start, and how many points they would get on average if they played 38 games. And the worrying thing for me, guys, when I look through all of this is when you look at how many starts players have had, there are only 5 players that have started over 20 games.
Sure.
Right? And one's a goalkeeper. So only Porro, Spence, Romero, and Van der Ven have started over 20 games, and we've played 32.
Right? All defenders.
Now, when you look at that, look at the number of games each central midfielder has played, right? Start there. So if we look at the central midfield, you've got Sarr, who started 12, Gallagher 9, Bentancur 17, Basuma 6, Paulinho 19, and Gray 18, Bergvall 11. So there's no continuity. Like there is no continuity there at all as to, in most clubs, you will see 2 of them would have started most of the games, right? These lot have all shared everything. Then you look at the forwards. Mawani started 16, Solanke 9, Odegaard 11, Tell 8, Richie 16, Johnson 6, Simmons 18. There is absolutely no continuity there, guys, for anything. Now, just a quick one. If we were looking at points per start, the best player in the club will be Johnson. He's only started 6 games. So if we remove Brennan Johnson from that list, the best player in there is Rodrigo Bentancur and Kudus. If you look at Rodrigo Bentancur and Kudus have the highest points per starts. And when did we stop winning games? When have we not won a game since?
Right, it started with Chelsea, didn't it?
No, but I mean in terms of both of those two not playing.
Well, January
when Bentancur got injured.
Yeah.
But Bentancur and Kudus, they went down in early Jan. The 2 players with the highest points per start not playing. But it's interesting, when you actually look at the points per start, have a look. Look at somebody like Archie Gray, who starts nearly every game now in midfield, and people keep giving him credit. Look how low the point per win is. Look at Odegaard, right? Look at Solanke. All these players, we said, when they come back, Gallagher's 0.22, right? It tells a story. This data tells a story, whether people want to believe it or not. It tells a story. So, look, make of that what you will, people. But I just think it's interesting how many players seem to have been, the appearances are being shared amongst, even when everyone's fit. So even now everyone's fit, we're just rotating. Everyone's getting rotated every game. And it's the complete opposite to Leeds, Forest and West Ham. And that's the point. Those 3 teams with us are putting out the same team where possible. Sorry. Make it out what you will, guys.
Yeah, well, no consistency in teams.
Something, guys.
Morning, Jay.
All positive this morning, I see.
Sorry?
You're so positive, I see.
Well, feel free to bring a positive, mate. Feel free
there
to.
Ain't any. No, there ain't any. No, I agree. The only thing, sort of, obviously, I haven't been on any shows or anything. I kind of saw what he was doing with the last team. Quite open-minded. He brought all the legs into midfield, wanting to try and kind of control the game rather than sort of attack, defend. So I kind of half saw what he was doing. Obviously, it didn't work out, and now it's hypothetically it's clear to say he shouldn't have started. My only thing I would say, a lot of people are saying like Xavi should be starting or Polina, but for me, I wonder if it's because like an attitude thing. Is Polina like, well, I'm on loan, I'm going home, I don't care, and he's not putting in the effort in training? Is Xavi the same thing? We go down, I leave. Like, it's very easy for us to say from the outside, well, this is what he should do. But if he's getting a different story day to day in the training ground, it's quite hard, isn't it? From his point of view.
He starts Romero. The problem you've got is that Simmons has not been the massive success when he's played, but you have no one better and you have no one else who can create. So you've got to play him. You have to play him.
No, I agree.
You don't have a choice. If you take that out, whatever creativity there is, and we didn't have it, did we? He played three centre forwards up front, to try and win it, try and battle it through, try and win the physical battles. And it didn't work. And the goal came initially. If Richard stayed on his feet and tracked back, then Mukwele wouldn't have had the free run, wouldn't have picked up the ball. He would have had to have beaten Richarlison, and Gallagher would have been there to pick up the player that pulled Gray across. So, Richarlison's out the game. We're one man down, and all of a sudden their guys are on the move. They can see it, and they're pulling us apart, and they're making space. And that's where it fell down. That's where it started. So you've got to have. I mean, for me, I don't know what the answer is. If you'd have played Tell there, is Tell any better defensively than Richarlison? Because this is what he's asking them to do.
I don't think there's any difference in the front three, to be honest. I think it doesn't matter who you pick. Everybody in that front three is terrible. That's just a given, in my opinion. Hence why.
Stop playing the front three.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, but I also think this is like my next kind of point. I also think if I see Archie Gray or Bergvall in our team again, then they deserve to go down. They are both useless. They're useless.
They're not useless, James.
Well,
Gray isn't useless. Bergvall is useless.
They're both. I'm sorry. They're both useless. They're both.
I remember, Lubo, I did a show the other week and I said to you, can you tell me what Bergvall is good at, right? Now, with the eyes, hang on. Using eyes and stats and data, 3 different things, right? So, let me clarify. Eyes is what we see. Stats, goals, assists, chance created, that kind of stuff. Data is what does he do in a game? When you look at all of it, he is dreadful. He can't do anything. And I'm going to show you. And this is the thing.
What does Gray do then? What does Gray do? Because you're picking one and not the other. What does Gray do?
Let me finish. Right. This, as I said before, this is Lucas Bergvall, right? I'm showing you now. This is Lucas Bergvall, right? I keep hearing this boy's good. At what?
I think he's lost. I think he's lost here, Sav. Honestly, think he's lost. I think he needs a proper coach.
That doesn't answer my question. I'm asking people, what is he good at? Because he can't pass a football. His control is like he's on a trampoline. He doesn't score. He doesn't assist. He doesn't create. He can't tackle. What does Bergvall do on a football pitch?
I know.
I think the fundamental problem is that Bergvall doesn't know what Bergvall is good at.
There you go.
I think that's
Sure.
he is come straight out of academy football, out of academies, where he's just been taught how to do various things, and he has not learned a position. That's the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, the 10 of it. He does not know what position he's playing and what it actually means. It comes back to the Paulinho thing. The guy knows the 6. He knows what to do. Bergvall has no idea. He's a tidy footballer, but if you don't know what you have to do,
no, he's not a tidy footballer. Every time he got the ball at the weekend. And by the way, I feel like I say this every game. I'll come back to this, by the way. Right? Every time he got the ball at the weekend, it bounces off him. It just bounces off him. He can't pass. He doesn't shoot. He doesn't cross. He doesn't score. He doesn't control a game. He can't tackle. When people say he's a tidy footballer, this is my concern, that we no longer know tidy footballer, right? You would say a tidy footballer. Go and watch James Garner of Everton. That is a tidy Gomez of all. These are tidy footballers. I'll say it.
What I was going to say.
Shit. I think he is awful.
For me, Archie Gray goes in the same category. He has played the most amount of games in the last 15 games. No, he's not. I'm sorry, he's not. And let me explain why. He's been the main focus of our centre midfield in the last 15 games. How many have we controlled? I don't care about winning. How many have we controlled? How many have we kept possession? How many have we looked defensively good? None. For me, he has to play a big part in that. Before we say, yeah, but look who he's playing with, or blah, blah, blah. Well, Kudos has got good numbers. Bentancur had good numbers. I'm sorry. Archie Gray and Bergvall, if you play them two, you are going to get relegated. And that's a fact. If you play them two, you're going down. It has to be Basuma. I said Basuma weeks ago. It has to be Basuma. Even Pape Sarr. It has to be Pape Sarr over those two. And you have to play Paulinho. Paulinho.
Sarr is dreadful.
Mate, no, Lubo, you're the most. I'm sorry, Lubo. You are the most flip-flop guy ever. You think Archie Gray in this light, and then everybody else in the dark light. Archie Gray has done nothing more than Pape Sarr has. Nothing.
If you look at partnerships, just use the word partnership, because we've all said that the players are being rotated. Players don't build partnerships. Look at how Gray and Simmons played together against Madrid at home. Just one game. I'm not building it up. I'm just saying you had 90 minutes where you had a really good partnership. And look at the third goal, Simmons' goal when he put it in the corner. That was terrific.
Yeah, when the pressure's off, Lubo. When the pressure's off.
But hang on. But still, when you're playing a match, when you're playing a game,
but pressure's pressure is the thing. It is a big thing.
Do you think these guys played in a different way against Madrid than they would normally?
I think they play different when there's pressure. Yes, I do.
Yeah, I agree.
My opinion with all of that.
Every freaking week I say the word pressure.
And that's why, for me, I would play Bentancur, Paulinho, and I would play two, because they're both defensively minded, right? They're both fairly good at doing that, breaking up play, cutting out fires. And then I would play Xavi in front. And I would almost say to Xavi, do not come back. I don't want you anywhere near our half. I want you to just stay up there in the pockets, do whatever you need to do to create. I would literally take every bit of responsibility off the guy, because every game I see with Archie Gray and Bergvall or Sarr, we have never won the midfield for 5 minutes of that 90. 5 minutes, let alone 90 minutes of the 90. So how do we expect to win a game of football in the Premier League when we cannot control the football for more than 5 or 10 minutes?
Joe, if you think a player's useless, then you're not prepared to actually acknowledge when he does have decent pockets of games. Then tell
me when.
I can't have a conversation with it. So many people have said that there was a 4 or 5 game spell when Gray was the best midfield player. He was very games.
No, wait.
It's a low bar. It's a low bar.
Well, then that's my point, right?
If you're not prepared to acknowledge when a player's having a decent run, then there is no conversation.
But you just changed the goalpost. decent run and our better player is two different conversations. A decent run for me is Bentancur and Polino at the start of the season having a decent run together. Being our best player when we're a relegation team isn't a decent run, Lubo. Stop trying to make excuses for the crap that we are seeing week in, week out. You're making excuses.
No, you talk about Graham Bergvall. You don't expect two 20-year-olds to be the mainstay of a team in the Premier League. You've got to look
Mate, I'm not doing this again. I don't care how old they are. They play for Tottenham Hotspur. I judge them as a Tottenham Hotspur player. Look, all the 20-year-olds that are thriving, the 19-year-olds that are thriving, 18-year-olds that are thriving. I bet they don't use the same excuse, do they?
Tell me, there aren't many in the Premier League.
And we wonder why we're going down. And we wonder why we're going
down.
Yeah,
exactly, Stel. My point exactly. We're praising crap for being our best player when we're in the relegation zone.
What you're doing is you're going after kids who are responsible for the position.
Okay. Let me end that debate. Tell crap. Odegaard crap. Richarlison crap. Dominic Solanke crap. Romero crap. Doggy crap. Does that end the debate of I'm going after kids? No. Crap.
You come on, James, and you don't say
it's a lot of crap.
This team are rubbish. You go after two kids straight away.
I've just told you 10 names there. What are you talking about?
But start with 10 names. Otherwise, you're just focusing on kids.
Yeah, but we lost that game. For me, we lost that game the weekend because we couldn't control the ball for more than 10 minutes of the game. My opinion, that's why we lost the ball. We can't create a chance if we don't have the ball. Starts from the midfield, and I'm also putting Romero in that. What he tends to do, run off his back line, snap someone in midfield, give away a free kick, lost control of the ball. Archie Gray gives away the ball every time he touches it. Bergvall gives away the ball every time he touches it. Tell is the same. Tell is exactly the same. It is relentless. And then what we do is, he's been our best player. Well, we are in the bottom three. So don't complain that we're in the bottom three if these are our better players. It's ridiculous.
Well, that shows your recruitment, doesn't it?
Can I just ask though? First of all, a couple of questions, just devil's advocate. When do we stop mentioning their age? They've been at Spurs 2 years now, playing week in, week out in the first team. When do we stop talking about age?
When they've been David.
Secondly, there are so many examples across Europe of 18, 19, 20-year-olds that play week in, week out, and no one mentions their age. Look at Krupi at Bournemouth. Josh King. Right? Josh King. No one's talking about these players, their age, but we seem to. My problem with this has always been the following. It's people want to put them on that pedestal, but then when they're judged by that pedestal, the age card is thrown. For me, wait until they get there, then put them on the pedestal. So for me, Archie Gray, what have I seen this season? I think first half of the season, absolutely nothing, if I'm honest. Second half of the season, I think we've seen moments. I think we've seen some moments where you go, nice footwork, couple of nice passes. But I'm going to say it. And I don't see so far at this age of 20 anything different to what I saw from Winks and Skip at the age of 20. Anything different to what I saw from Bentaleb and Mason at the age of 20.
I see a lot left.
Hang on, but for some reason, Gray's got so much hype around him that everyone's just going, he's top player, this top. And I remember, still, when we were on, it was Twitter when we were on it. Remember when we were on Twitter years ago? We used to, not me and you directly, because we didn't know each other. I remember we used to have rows with people about, I'd say to people, look, Winks, nothing special. People go, you don't know a player, he's quality, you watch in 2 years. Now you're looking at Harry Winks playing central midfield for the team who was second bottom in the championship, right? Same as Ollie Skip. I think that we're in danger of doing that again. Now, that doesn't mean that Gray's going to follow that path. But the problem is, Gray and Bergvall, by our fans, get talked about in such glowing terms. And I'm yet to see a game. I think Gray was good against Atletico, but as Stel said, when there was zero pressure and Atletico just sat back and let us play, right? They had a 5-2 lead. And I'm watching these games now. And in this last 14 games where we've not won, sorry for the rant, guys, but in these last 14 games where we've not won is where people are going, our best player is Archie Gray. Well, Archie Gray's played the most of all those games. And this is the run where we're not winning, and he's the main man in midfield. At what point are we telling a bit of a story here that everyone cried, oh, Bentancur, oh, Paulinho, oh, Basuma. We won games with those guys in midfield. We don't win games of football with Archie Gray in midfield. And I'm going to show you. And this is, sorry, I'm not blaming him. He's not a scapegoat. He's not the reason. But look, when you look at Archie Gray's been involved in 3 wins all season.
Exactly
3.
my point.
3, right?
Sorry.
So
I need.
Hang on. Let me just finish really quickly, guys. And if you look at it, right, he's one of the highest on the list in terms of loss average. So he's one of the lowest on the list in terms of win percentage when he's played, and one of the highest on the list for loss percentage when he's played, and one of the lowest for points per start when he's played. Now, I'm not blaming Gray, but that should show everyone he's not ready. He's not good enough. When Bentancur and Paulinho played together, senior pros with experience and leadership, Spurs had a significantly higher win rate. But he's young. He's been the best midfielder. At what has he been the best midfielder? At what?
So the problem is not, but in my assessment, right? The problem is not Gray. The problem is not Bergvall. The problem is not Tell.
Sure.
The problem is not Odebear. The problem is not Souza, right? The problem is that we've signed so freaking many of them. The problem is that all of the other youngsters that people are mentioning, like Rio, Liverpool, right? People are, oh, this Rio kid, he's doing absolutely fantastic. Well, do you know what? He's surrounded by men. He's a single youngster surrounded by men. So actually, he can be brilliant, and actually he can have half an off game, and do you know what? No one will notice because somebody else will pick up the slack around him. In what we've done, what they have done for our team, right? For our squad, what they've done is, and I've said it so many times, they fill up from the bottom. Yeah, they fill up from the bottom. They get young and promising players, they bring them into our squad, and then they develop them in the first team. So then we are arguing Gray is rubbish. Gray should not be in our first team. Gray should be learning somewhere else. He should be learning somewhere else. Bergvall should be, like Barcelona, would have just put him out to learn somewhere else until he was 22 and then brought him into our team. Somerville comes into West Ham. He's 24. He's 24, right? Why is Somerville doing, pulling up trees at West Ham? Because he's learned all this stuff. He's learned all this stuff in the past. We are arguing about these kids, and you're absolutely right.
Kids.
We should not. Do you know what? Younger than 22, I count as kids in men's football.
They've been pros for
and it's not about their age. It's about the fact that we have got so freaking many of them. That's the problem.
But my okay, I'll change the word from rubbish, crap, to not Prem quality. They're not Prem quality. None of them. And so when you have one, all right, you may get away with it. When you have a squad of not Prem quality, doesn't matter age. I'm not picking Archie Gray. Like I said, Dominic Solanke, Richarlison, all of them are rubbish. Not Prem quality. For me, rubbish is not Prem quality. And the fact that our fans will find something to pick on and stick up just because there's nothing else to go by, it just blows my mind. What you said there about the Rio guy from Liverpool, even in their cup games where he was playing with B teams, I would look at him and go, player there, Jesus, beat 2 men, whip the ball in, player. I look at Archie Gray in every game, Bergvall, Tell, Odegaard, and I never once think, yeah, you've beat your man there. Yeah, you've won that duel there. Odegaard's beat his fullback there time and time and time again. Never. So for me, it doesn't go by age. It goes by they are not Prem quality. So when we get relegated and people are sticking up for the likes of Tells, the likes of Odegaards and Grays and Solankis, well, don't complain because they're not Prem quality. What do you expect? You play a team of championship players, you get championship performances.
Based on your logic, based on your level, how many are Prem quality in our squad?
5, 6.
That's shocking,
Max?
isn't it? This is a Premier League club, Tottenham Hotspur. You're saying we've got 6 players that are good enough to play in the Premier League.
Yeah. And I'd say we've got maybe 3 Champions League at a push. And hence why, and unfortunately, those two of those 3 that are Champions League are out injured for God knows how long in Maddison and Kudos. So for me, when you take those Champions League quality away, you take out 2 championships, then you've got like 3-4 championship players in a team that are mixed between Prem and Champions. That will get you mid-table maybe. So the moment you take out the best assets, all the cogs fall down on the floor. There's no one turning anything. You've got a pile of rubbish. I'm sorry, it's just rubbish.
So if you've got, James, fine. So as far as you're concerned, obviously it's the recruitment.
It's everything, yeah.
Number 2, throw the injuries in, which means you've got to bring players in.
It's not just the recruitment, Lubo. We can't do this. It's not just the recruitment.
It's everything. It's the coaching. It's the recruitment. It's everything.
There has to be some accountability for the level of coaching, right?
Yeah.
I've coached players that were average. Some are made good. Some are made brilliant. Some stayed average. A coach does have an impact on the development of players, and as much. And this is what I wanted to say about this whole midfield conversation. The way I look at it is, I think Archie Gray should have gone on loan. He would have benefited far more by going on a loan and then coming back. Being here, I don't know if that's going to do him the world of good, because he's in a very toxic situation, and he's going to have one all right game, one bad game. One, oh, that was good, then it's going to be absolute shit. I don't think this is the right way to develop him. As for Bergvall, I really liked Bergvall when we signed him. I really liked him. When I watched him play, yes. But what we've done to him the last 2 years, we as a club have turned him into absolute mush. Now he's a bang average football player. We have made him bang average. He was better when he came to us than what he is now. But we've wrecked him. We did the same with Winks. I saw Winks as an academy player. When he broke into the first team, he was looking like he was on a good pathway. Then we wrecked him, forcing him into the 6. It was a disaster. And I've said, Lubo, we've done many shows when I've spoken about the player pathway at Spurs is broken. The pathway from academy into first team, there is no pathway. And the youngsters we've brought in to play or be in that first team squad, we've completely mismanaged them and we have wrecked them. So that is down to coaching and a lack of strategy above to have a plan towards a goal, which I've also spoken about. What I would do right now with these 6 games to go, if we want to stay up, and you know me, I couldn't give a shit. I hope we go down. But if we want to stay up, Paulinho has to play in the 6, play Basuma in the 8, because he was actually in a decent 8 at Brighton when he had a proper 6 behind him, but he's always played in the 6 at Spurs, which doesn't work for him, and play Simmons in the 10, because no one else in this club can play that role to his level. I would go Paulinho, Basuma, Simmons, and just see it out to the end of the season. If we're going to start dropping Sars and Grays and Bergvalls in there, mate, it's going to collapse. That bit I agree with James. It will collapse because we're in a dogfight and all the teams around us are fighting like absolute barbarians, and we're going into every fight looking like a pussycat. It has to stop. I would just go Paulinho, Basuma, Simmons. It might work, it might not, but I think that's the best. If we're going to stick to a midfield 3, which I also disagree with, but if we're going to stick to midfield 3, go with that. This isn't the time for kids. These 6 games is not a time for kids, and I think week in, week out, we're seeing that these kids, they're lambs to the slaughter. I don't actually blame them. I agree with Savva. I don't blame them, but every week they're just getting battered. They're getting rinsed in that midfield, and even on the wings when. Like tell this, tell that. I remember when we played Liverpool and everyone was saying Tell's amazing. And I said, can we look at that kid at Liverpool? He was amazing. And then Sean was arguing with me, but Tell's got better stats. Who would you have right now? Tell or that kid from Liverpool? You've got to be mad not to pick that kid from Liverpool. You've got to be a lunatic. But when we tried to have the conversation before, but Tell's stats, and mate, Tell is crap. Tell's crap as well. He's been mismanaged as well. He's another one.
I agree with
it's
that.
Not just Tell.
Within reason, right? We're within reason. Everyone can't be mismanaged. Like, I don't agree with that.
No, you're right.
The
James,
system
you're right.
doesn't work.
No, James, you're right. Within reason.
Everyone gets mismanaged. If the system doesn't work, then everybody gets mismanaged. You can even go back to Delhi, right? Delhi was fantastic in that 10, arriving in the box. And then we went through those windows where Enoch didn't buy any players, and Poch had a real problem in central midfield in the 8. And so he dropped Delhi back. And do you know what happened? Delhi's effectiveness went way down because that wasn't his position.
No, it wasn't.
This has been caused by repetitive problems in our transfer strategy for 10, 15 years. Every single manager has had to compromise and put round pegs in square holes. Every single manager. All we're seeing now is an accumulation of 10 years of doing it. And we've ended up, and a medical crisis. So we've ended up with absolute trash who can't, maybe it's a bit harsh, but we've ended up with substandard players in our first team. And it's been caused by the transfer strategy. Right. West Ham go and get Somerville, 24 years old, knows his position. Do you know what? Boom, there he goes. We go and get Tell and Odebear. Odebear has one good game in the middle of the season, and everybody's like, he's got to start every single game. No, you don't understand. He's a 20-year-old kid. Yes, every Premier League player under 22, I count as a kid. If they can play for the under 21s, they're a kid, right? They're not, as James says, they're not Prem ready. Right, then so many players are not Prem ready until they're 22.
No, you can't base that on age.
Well, I'm going to put a benchmark. Right, my benchmark is 21. Any player who is ready before 21 is exceptional. Right, and most players won't be ready until after 21. We can argue about that all we want. That's my opinion. And you know what? I think it's pretty solid.
In youth football, you're classed as a kid up to the age of 21. And by the way, players develop at different ages, okay? You can be a brilliant 17, 18-year-old, but that doesn't mean that someone who's 21 isn't going to be good, because as we saw with Kane, he developed at 21, 22. He really pushed on. So everyone's got to know, everyone's got a different age where they develop to that player that they truly can be, but the window isn't big. So it's between 17 to about 23. That's the window. If you haven't got it right in that zone, you're pretty much not going to be the player that people thought you were. That's the reality.
Still, I think. Hang on, James. Can I just say two things? Still, what you said about the coaching, for me personally, is correct. I think Winks benefited from good coaching. Winks is a better player than Archie Gray. Winks was. You look at Madrid. He was our best player in the final. He played Modric off the park at the Bernabeu. I remember walking out the ground that day in October 2017 after 1-0. I thought it was superb. Winks got wrecked, unfortunately, because he had a stomach injury and he never recovered. He never went on after that. But Poch brought him in gradually, brought him in with very good players. He didn't. It's not like now where Graham Bergvall, Odebear and Tell were thrown into an absolute shit show with no partnerships forming. Coaching's poor. Teams
but they have to take responsibility for that as well, not forming partnerships, right?
Right,
they're part of the partnership. James,
the way I judge a player, and this goes back to what Stel was saying about development and up to 21, is that it's the same as anything. I look at myself or anybody in any career coming through. They're 17, 18, 19, 20, at 26, 27, they've had substantial more experience. They know the game much better.
Yeah, but within reason, right? Within reason.
James, hear me out. So I am expecting far more from Gallagher in a match and a Basuma in a match, Paulinho and Bentancur, than I do from Graham Bergvall, because they are better players. They have more experience. They played at the top level for longer. So for me, I expect more from them in a game. And I judge them to a higher level because they have that much more experience.
That's ridiculous.
Well,
I agree with the first part. Right? You would say you expect more from them. Okay, my answer to that was Paulinho, Bergvall, maybe not Gallagher because he's fairly new, but the Bentancur, they have shown us this season they are better than Archie Gray, Bergvall, and so on and so on. So yeah, you expect more because you've seen more. So that implies, obviously, what I'm saying is the guys that are playing now are not good enough. I agree with that. But this whole where they are in their career because of their age, I'm sorry. I've taken on apprentices that are 15 and I've taken on apprentices that are 20. And the 15-year-olds are better than the 20-year-olds. I've taken on 15-year-olds that ain't got a club. Just look at them and go, you ain't doing anything, mate. You're useless. And that's how I see these kids now. Puppy Sarr, Bergvall, Grays, Tells. I look at them and think, you're championship at best at the moment, mate. You should be nowhere near this football club. And in playing them, you're exactly the reason why we're going down. And our fans are saying, but they're fighting for the badge. Bring Telling because he works really hard.
James, I'm just going to disagree with you on one point. Sorry, Lubo. I'm just going to disagree with you on one point. It's not about playing them. We should never sign them. We should never have signed them.
Yeah, that's my point, though. They're all crap. They shouldn't be here. This is my argument. They should never be starting for Tottenham. And when people say, oh, well, I look at the senior players, I've seen more from Basuma. We take one game, the cup final. I've never seen Archie Gray play how Basuma did in that cup final. I've never seen Archie Gray play how Bentancur did at the start of the season. I've never seen Archie Gray play the same way Polina has. I haven't seen Bergvall play the way Madison had or Kuhn.
Can I throw something in, James? Can I throw something in? Can I throw something in that's slightly different? Listen, what I will say is, whilst I don't think that a lot of the praise for the youngsters is warranted, what I do think is interesting is when you look at, 7 managers in 6 years, right? So it goes down to the coaching, right? It does, because you've got 7 managers, 7 different voices, 7 different ways of playing. I also look at what were they brought in for. So, for example, when you look at Bournemouth, right? Let's use Bournemouth, for example. They got 2 young lads playing really well. One is Krupi, who is now, I believe, only the 3rd teenager to grab 10 or more goals in his debut season, right? Yeah. And the other one is Rayan, who they just brought in to replace Semenyo. Both teenagers, both good players. But you know what? Both playing in a settled team. Both being brought in by the manager that's playing them. Both with no real pressure on them, because let's be brutally honest, what is really, if Bournemouth get Europe this year, people go, great year, right? So I thought someone was at my door. If Bournemouth get Europe, people go, great year. If Bournemouth miss out by a couple of points, people go, good year for Bournemouth, that, right? With their resources, they lose their players. So for me, doesn't a lot of this come down to environment? And my problem is, if I take this right back to the beginning, why is a club that keeps sacking managers, that keep floating from one ideology of playing football to another, why do we keep bringing in the youngsters when we know they're not going to get the development in their particular position in a particular setup? So, for example, when Pochettino brings Dele Alli into Tottenham Hotspur, Pochettino's there for 5-6 seasons. He's brought in to play for Poch's ideology. Dele Alli, as a youngster, gets to sit, learn and grow. We've got these youngsters who has Gray and Bergvall played for? They've played for Ange. They've played for Frank. They've played for Tudor. They've now played for De Zerbi, right? Who's Papa Sarr played for? Nuno, right? Hang on, what's he played? Nuno, Conte, Stellini, Mason, Ange, Frank. So what chance do we have? So my problem is, why buy so many of them when we have no actual plan in place to develop them? If we're going to keep changing managers, just buy in senior pros, right, that can get the ground running. Stop bringing in kids that aren't adept to changing managers every single problem. And I agree with this person. Savva out now. Savva is the problem. I think that's my wife. I think my wife has set up a YouTube account to troll her own surname. If it's you, wife, we're going to have words when you get home tonight after I come back from Leyton Orient. But that's my feeling on it, guys, right? It's not that Gray might develop into being a top player. Odegaard might. But right now, That is not what Spurs need. We are not what they need. And it's a disaster.
Savva,
what we need right now is Paulinia, Xavi, in the 8. I don't really care. Take your pick, because Gallagher, Gray. I think either of them could do a job. It's because we need better than both, to be honest, at the moment. The way they both play. I'm heading off. It's been a great chat, folks. Speak to you later.
Take care, mate.
See you, mate.
Savva, can I just drop a massive truth bomb on this whole debacle? Right?
It's the only reason I have you on this show still.
It's about time, Still. It's only taken you about 3 years of YouTube to actually speak something.
Listen, you're upset because I predicted we'd lose to Sunderland, and you said that we wouldn't. So, but that's where you and Lubo have got a lot in common.
I've said 3-1 for about 10 weeks.
Yeah. Do you know what? If you actually put a fiver on 3-1 every week, eventually you'd win something with Spurs. Palace, you would have won money against Palace with 3-1 there. No, honestly, this is the truth of it all, isn't it? If you just zoom out and just forget how we get caught up in Archie Gray this, Benton called that, Xavi Simons that, Mawani this, De Zerbi, and Frank, tactics, transfers, Lange, Vinay, leave. If you just zoom out and go back to Poch, we spent almost £50 million on the state-of-the-art training facility, world-class academy centre, and then we spent a further £1 million. Luba, don't say to me 87.5 million. Yeah, I know you like to correct the number.
85 million still. 85 million.
All right, Lubo, you get the idea, right? We spent a lot of money. If I say 10, Lubo say no, it's 8.7.
It was 85 million. It was nearly twice as much still.
The point I made.
Who was that? Who was 85?
The training ground cost 85.
What I'm saying, Sam, is if you zoom out and forget all this tactics, managers, players, recruitment, we spent a hell of a lot of money on a world-class training facility, a world-class academy centre, and then we spent a further £1 billion on what people argue to say is the best stadium in the world, right? When all this was built, I was under the belief that we did all of this so that what would happen next is we would spend big money on really good players, back the managers now, which we couldn't do before, and the youngsters that we would then put into this squad would be coming from this world-class academy facility we'd built, and any top youngsters out there, we'd buy them, like Vuskovic, put them into the academy system, maybe loan them out, and then when they got to that age, like Arsenal did with Saliba, right, we think you're ready now, go into the first team, and that's how we would put youngsters in our team. What I've seen us do, right, that's what I thought, this £1 billion investment on infrastructure, that's what I thought it was for. What I've actually seen, we spent £1 billion on a stadium, academy, training centre to then spend every penny on this nonsensical cocktail of random transfers that don't make sense to sign a shitload of kids that are a punt. We don't know what they're going to do, completely mug off the academy, still buy players for the academy that we loan that never actually played for the first team. And then you fast forward to today, and I ask myself this question, this is the truth bomb. What did we build that stadium for and the academy and the training facility? Because we've got worse since we've done it. We're actually worse since we did it.
I've got to tell you, still, my pal Jeff.
Drop a mic, still. Drop a mic, because everything you've just said there is absolutely bang on. Absolutely. He is absolutely spot on.
So my pal Jeff said, he said for the last 3 or 4 years, what was the point of building the stadium?
Hi, Jeff.
Exactly.
I think everybody, right? It's the point of the whole point of everything. Listen, the club is rotten to the core.
Oh, from top to bottom.
And it is one of those. To be honest, I've come to terms with it now that we're going down, and it is what it is. And I'm praying that the owners sell because we go down, but there is no chance. I know there's no chance. It's not going to happen. But it's like, well, let's hope. I can't wait to see the day. I tell every single player, Every single player. None of them are worth anything, barring maybe Kudos and Maddison. The whole lot needs to go. One positive would be if we go down, they'd all leave, barring probably Grays and Bergvals, which just leaves us in the same position we're in now. We'll go down again.
James, some of these players will develop under. For me, De Zerbi is probably the only football person at a senior level at our club in the entire club.
Yeah.
But do you think he's going to stay if we go down?
Do I think De Zerbi will stay? I think he will do.
The academy director is good, Lubo. The academy director, Simon Davies, is good. He's a good academy director.
I'm sure he is, but he's a lower level than De Zerbi.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
saying
lower.
the people above
He's lower than De Zerbi, yeah.
Vinay, Lange, and the board. There's nobody there that knows anything about football. De Zerbi is the most senior, knowledgeable football person for me. So,
yeah, but even if we go down, unfortunately, I know a lot of people are saying, yeah, but he said that he won't leave. This guy blows the ship up if he doesn't get a player he wants to sign.
James,
so for me, I wouldn't be relying on the whole he's going to stay because we've gone down and he said it in an interview.
Hang on, Dave. 12 million a year to go and manage against Lincoln City. Mate, he's living the dream. He's living the dream.
Mate, we can't afford to pay him off. By the way, do you know what? Still to this day, Pochettino was the truest, most honest man to have said what he said. We need to go through a painful rebuild. We still haven't done it. No. Because when it gets to the pain bit, no one wants to know. Nobody wants to know.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I watch Archie Gray, Bergvall tell every week, and that's not pain. Fuck off. That's James, that's way too much.
What I mean is, like, I get the joke. What I mean is,
I can't take any more pain.
As much as I wanted Frank out, as much as I thought he was the wrong guy for us, we didn't back him, right? You've got to back a manager. Even when we're losing every week, people say his tactics are rotten, his philosophy isn't Tottenham, blah, blah, blah. Back him, because this is the project that you chose, Tottenham. You didn't, fine, you got rid of him. But again, don't want to go through the painful rebuild. You don't want to prove that you... We have to go through it at some point. People think... I remember when we were going through the rebuild with Conte, the supposed rebuild, and Lee McQueen was in Last Word on Spurs saying, people, this is the painful rebuild. And I thought, what? By signing Danjuma?
And do you know what? Still,
that's not a rebuild.
When Poch wanted the rebuild,
we've never done it. We've never been through it.
Still, when Poch wanted the rebuild, that was 2017, when we left the ground and went to Wembley, and we had all the players. Walker was the first one to leave from that squad, and since then the whole squad's gone. In 9 years, the whole squad has gone. So we are so far worse off now than we were when Poch said to Levy, "We need the rebuild."
Lubo, is De Zerbi going to be allowed to get rid of £40 million Archie Gray, £10 million Sousa, who they signed in the window? Let's say he doesn't fancy Gallagher, who we just put on 200 grand. Is De Zerbi going to be allowed? No, I'm not saying we should get rid of them. I'm saying if De Zerbi says, I want Solanke gone, I want Gallagher gone, I want this, is he going to be allowed to do that? Because if not, there's no painful rebuild.
No, correct. Listen, I think we are so far.
Arteta was allowed to clear it all out. Klopp was allowed to clear it all out. Fergie cleared it all out.
Look where we're heading at the moment. At the moment, we're 6 games from relegation. So they have no reason to say no to anything De Zerbi wants, because by saying no for years and years and years, no to this player, no to buying Bruno Fernandes, no to buying Ruben Diaz, etc., and God knows how many more. This is where we are. So someone somewhere in the board of directors must be looking at this thinking, shit, this has gone very badly wrong over the last decade.
You know why they will say no, though? It's because we've signed players like Tells, Archie Grays for big money, and their value is probably a quarter of what we paid for them, right? For me, Archie Gray is 15 million. Tell
you get your
15 million.
Money back on Gray. You get your money back on Gray.
40 million.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
How much is it? How much is someone like
anymore, do we? We really do. We really do.
How much would you say someone like Elliot Anderson's worth then? If Gray's worth,
Forest wanted between 100 and 120.
But how much would you? Not Forest. How much would you?
Well, if Declan Rice is worth 105, you've got to say that Elliot Anderson's worth 105.
Do you know what?
So you're saying-
Isn't this the difference, though? Isn't this the difference? These clubs are going out and buying Elliot Anderson,
Sure,
Adam Wharton's. We went and bought Archie Gray and Bergvall. Like that. Isn't this the difference? That even when we go and buy these young midfielders, they're nowhere near the level that Palace and Forest are buying. That's embarrassing.
No, but Sav,
That's really embarrassing.
Sav,
Savva's right. Savva's right.
But we had the money. We had the money. I've said that. I keep repeating myself. We buy kids, but we had the money to go and replace Højbjerg and Ndombele.
Hang on. You've bypassed the point there. You've completely bypassed the point. When Forest bought Anderson, he was still young, right? When Palace bought Wharton, he was young. They didn't go and buy senior pros. They bought 2 youngsters, and the youngsters they bought are now playing central midfield for England because they're class, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't cost 40 million,
right? You've got to ask questions as to, we scouted Gray, those guys scouted Wharton. The levels of the two player, it's night and day. Wharton versus Gray.
How old
night
is that?
and
Is it Scott?
day.
Is it Scott for Bournemouth? Is it Scott? Who scored against us? How old is he?
Scott.
Alex Scott,
early 20s.
He's a Tottenham fan, isn't he?
Massive, yeah. How old is he? I'd love to know how old he is.
I'm doing it now.
I think he's
Hurry up,
22.
And you know what?
He's just turned 22.
We watched him.
I think he's a fantastic player, but at 21, why is he still in the Prem? Why is he playing for a Premier League team? Because he's too young.
Adam Wharton, by the way, signed for, let me work this out in my head. He signed for Palace when he was 19/20. And he went straight in, got rave reviews in a Crystal Palace team that was struggling against relegation, right? Helped keep them up, got in the England team, and has stayed in the England squad, right?
So we watched him the whole season at the same time we watched Phillips. The story I was told that Blackburn wouldn't deal with Levy over Wharton when we made the inquiry because he waited and he screwed Blackburn down on Phillips' price.
So, my point is, to go to Stell's point earlier, when you're talking about building this super duper stadium and the training ground and stuff, how have Spurs done all that? But when it comes to scouting, right, Tell is what we scouted. Odegaard is what we scouted. Bergvall and Gray. Now, again, some of those players may come good, but we're 2 years down the line with all of those players.
Sousa. Savva, we bought Sousa in January.
And let's be brutally honest. In the 2 years that those players have been here, has anyone seen anything where you go, great signing? Like, be really, really honest.
No.
I've seen a couple of good crosses from Tell. I've seen a good goal from Odegaard. I've seen a couple of nice interchanges from Gray. But I don't watch any of them the way I watch a Wharton when he walked into Palace's team at the age of 19, 20 and controlled the midfield and go, that is how you scout a footballer.
Sad. Wharton is a much better forward, a much better player than Gray and Bergvall. There's no doubt in that.
Then when we all said, why were we spending 40 million on Gray and they've spent 25 million on Wharton? That's what worries me more than how much they're spending on senior pros. We've spent 40 million on a kid that in 2 years still doesn't look ready for Premier League football. That's a worry for me.
But doesn't that debunk like Lubo? And this is my point, right? When you just spoke about there, Lubo's first thing is like, yeah, but they're much better players. The moment you bring up Archie Gray, it's like, but they're young. No, they're not as good as a player. So it's nothing to do with age. They're better players. My point exactly. You're not going to play Prem. I don't think we stay up with those two in midfield. Not because of their age, because of what you just said. They are not good enough players.
James, we need experience in that team. And we
need a footballer, Lubo. It doesn't matter about experience. We need someone who can play football.
We need people who are prepared to roll their sleeves up and fight for the...
No, we don't. I don't agree with that either.
Yes, we do. What we don't want is a player like Gallagher who lets the player just run away from him and doesn't bother sprinting.
Okay.
That's
so what you're saying.
Hang on. That's why we lost to Sunderland. Let's break it down. One goal. They beat us by one goal.
We didn't lose just because Gallagher didn't track that. Hang on one second. This is where you do anything to protect Gray.
If we had stopped, listen, let's talk about facts. If we had stopped that attack, that game would have finished 0-0. Now you can say,
Lubo, sorry, I learnt this a long time ago. That's not a fact, right? Sorry, can we?
They won 1-0. You stop that one goal, Sav, then automatically.
You don't know what happens after that if they don't score.
Exactly.
The game changes.
Sorry, can we please? We are all adults here, right? If one situation doesn't happen, it changes the rest of the game, right? So none of us can sit here and say, if that doesn't go in, we don't concede afterwards or score afterwards. So it's not a fact. It's a belief.
The Sunderland manager did say we went for the second goal because you can always lose a goal in the last minute. If you remember what he said, we didn't get the second goal. They went for the second goal. They didn't stop playing. They kept going, Sunderland.
Yeah, but with what you're saying there as well, you said we need players that are going to roll their sleeves up and dig in, yeah?
And dig in and chase every single ball.
Okay. So we have them, in my opinion, we have 3 of them in.
And you didn't want them.
Intel, Richarlison, and Gray. We have 3 of them players that roll their sleeves up and run around like headless chickens and fight for the team. But yet there's a common denominator. They're all terrible footballers. Wow. Therefore, you're never going to control a game. You're never going to create chances. You're never going to score chances because they're not good enough. You just said, yeah, but Wharton's a better footballer.
James, where are the players that are good enough?
But we could turn this into an in out. We could turn this out into an in out debate all you like. I just didn't want to go down that route because I feel like every show's done that. We know they are not good enough. But when you kind of come into things and say, how can you blame them? Well, why blame the kid? Look at their age. And then you same sentence, you go, yeah, but he's a better footballer. He's the same age, but he's a better footballer. It takes the whole debate out.
He's not the same age, James. He's nearly 3 years older. He's not the same age. Wharton and Gray.
How old's Gray now?
Gray's just turned 20.
Yeah, Wharton's just turned 22. Two years ago.
Wharton just turned 22.
Listen, Stel's just said the difference between 20 and 22 can be great. It can be.
Sure. Okay, but what was Wharton doing at the age of 20?
What was Wharton doing? He wasn't
playing week in, week out with Palace, running the midfield, helping them shoot.
That he is now, Sav. He's much better now than when he joined.
I would take Adam Wharton 2 years ago now in our team over Gray.
The question I asked wasn't, is he better now than then? Right? At that age of 20, I think most of us watched Wharton and went, yeah, this boy, this is a player. I don't know anyone outside of Spurs fans that looks at Gray and says, cool, this is a player. It's funny because you've automatically gone to Gallagher didn't chase his man. I agree. But you also look when Keane and Carragher broke it down yesterday, they pointed out what Archie Gray did wrong in that move. They pointed out what Van der Ven did wrong in that move. So all of this, we would have got a point if that hadn't have happened. The point is, Lubo, Archie Gray has started nearly every game for the last 14. Nearly every game in this run of not winning games, he's been the one constant throughout the team, right? Is that a coincidence?
You know, if you're going to claim a 20-year-old when
no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
You're placing an awful lot of responsibility on his shoulders.
No, I'm not. Please listen to the context in what I'm saying. You have straight away gone, we don't lose that game. It was Gallagher's fault. Okay, cool. But Archie Gray.
No, actually, Richie. I actually started off by saying Richie.
But this is the thing that we do. If anybody blames Gray for a goal, you won't have it. You won't see it. Gray at the weekend.
It's his age, isn't it? Right.
Gray at the weekend. Set pieces. Let his man go. And nearly every opportunity as they had a couple of free headers. Nothing said because the ball doesn't nestle in the net. Right?
Yeah.
The problem is, I agree with James. Right? If we've bought Archie Gray and he's in the first team, I don't care how old he is. Right? Because I'll tell you why I don't care how old he is. I'm going to say this, and I've got a little smile on my face. Because, Lubo, when Spurs were in better form, you and so many other fans complained week in, week out, you don't want to see Bentancur. Gray's better. You said at your own mouth, Gray is a better midfielder than Bentancur. I want to see Gray play instead of Bentancur. Since we've changed from Gray to Bentancur, we have looked awful, right? And this is, be careful. If you are going to ask for that to happen, when it does happen, you have to then be prepared to go, yeah, you can look at the program all you want, Lupo.
Well,
I've showed you the data.
I'll look at how many games Bentancur played between the time he was injured and from when it all started going wrong with Chelsea.
What?
If you ask yourself the question, right? If you ask yourself the question, when we signed Mohamed Kudus, did he improve Tottenham? The answer is yes. We are better with Mohamed Kudus, right? When we signed Graham Bergvall, have they improved Tottenham? You can't say yes, can you?
They made us work.
But still,
isn't that the question we just say with every signing we make? Have they improved us? I would say so far, Graham Bergvall have not improved Tottenham. But when Kudus isn't playing, you can see the drop-off. So he does improve us. We should say that for every single player we sign. Have they improved us? And I don't think they've improved us.
I don't think they were bought. They weren't bought for the first team. Still,
40 million.
Then they shouldn't be in the first team.
40 million. They wasn't for the first team.
Still, I'm not saying that they should be in. I've never said they should be in the first 11. My point about the Polinia bench.
Well, that's what James is saying. He doesn't want to see them on the pitch. Then that's what James was saying.
Right, but because we haven't bought good enough players, and coupled with the fact that we've had loads of injuries, they've been thrown in.
Polinia and Simmons were both available on the weekend.
So why?
That's down to managers.
Lubo. So why, when I say they're not good enough, they shouldn't be playing? Are you the first one to defend them and go, yeah, but age, yeah, but this, yeah, but that, and now you're telling us they wasn't even bought for the first team? So what you're saying, you're right, but I don't want to be harsh or tell the truth, so I'll try and divert it.
James, they weren't good enough when they were bought to come straight into the first team.
Are they good enough now, Lubo?
40 million. We're saying he's not bought for the first team at 40 million pounds.
They overpaid for him, Sav. I never said otherwise.
Lubo, are they good enough for the first team now?
Sav, they wanted Gray, and because the price had been agreed with Brentford, they were in a position where they either drop out or they pay 40 million. That was the position.
Sure, but Lubo, can you see? This is where I think where James is coming at, Rob. This is where it makes me laugh. Right? Is you can't have it always. Right? You was someone who desperately wanted to see Bentancur come out the team and Gray go in, right?
For home games.
Hang on. It doesn't matter if it's for home or away.
Well, we ain't one in there either.
Hang on. It doesn't matter if it's for home or away. Bentancur is superior to Gray, home or away. He's superior to him as a footballer. But the problem is, £40 million, 2 years down the line, still doesn't look ready for the Premier League, and still the age card is being used. So does that mean if we stay up next year and Gray's in the team and he's 21, are we still going to be going, but he's a kid? Like, at what stage are you going to go, he's got to start manning up? Like, he looked like a lost child at the weekend. He looked scared. He didn't know what to do when he got the ball. He passed it 5 yards. And yet you got really offended the other week at somebody that said he's no better than Harry Winks. You got offended. And I don't see what he does that Winks or Skip didn't do. I don't see what he does.
There was a nice little chip ball first half. He was looking around for someone to play. Lovely little chip ball. He can play the passes if he gets runners.
Oh, mate, I reckon if I had 90 minutes for Tottenham...
Let
me retort. But this is the problem, right? When anyone asks, this is what we do. Did you see that one pass? In that position in midfield, you have to be doing the passes for 90 minutes. You watch Elliot Anderson for Forest. Everything goes 90 minutes. Wharton, 90 minutes. You pick out, did you see that one pass?
But Sav, for Wharton, the forwards know how he plays. They give him the runs all the time. They run off for him. They make life easy with the passing. Look at the 2 goals that he made for Was Mateta one of them?
Sure, but so when have you seen Gray do what you're saying he does then, if we've got no proof of it? This is the boy that couldn't get into Leeds' midfield in the Championship, by the way, right?
Well, he was, and he got moved back when there was an injury at right back.
Okay, right. But if you were that good in midfield, you wouldn't have been taken out of your position, would you? Spurs wouldn't take their best midfielder out to play at right back.
Well, there wasn't another right back. There obviously wasn't another right back for Leeds to play.
But Lubo, somebody put a great post yesterday and they said, you think about it. 2 years ago, right? 18 months, 2 years ago, Archie Gray couldn't get into Leeds' team in central midfield. 2 years later, he's the main player every week in a Spurs midfield. Is it any wonder why we are going down? Now, I'm not blaming Gray. I'm blaming the club. I'm not blaming Gray. I'm blaming the club that's the levels we've gone to now, that a kid that couldn't get in them. I'll ask you this. What teams in the Premier League does Archie Gray start for other than Spurs?
Well, let me go back to what you've been saying.
You're not going to answer the question, are you? You're not going to
divert.
What do I think, Sav? I think he would get into most squads, bottom half. I think, and look where we are. We're 18th, so I'm not building us up. I think he would flourish in a proper system with a manager.
Can you answer the question I actually asked though? Which team does he get into in the Premier League in the first 11? Because he ain't good enough for West Ham's midfield. He's not good enough for Forest Leeds.
West Ham's midfield is not good. That is not good.
Sorry, you think he? I'm
not talking about Fernandes. I'm talking.
Who does he get in front of at West Ham?
Well, none of my friends rate Soucek, funny enough.
So Archie Gray gets in above Soucek. See, and this is the levels, Lubo. This is where I think some fans deserve what we've got. I watched West Ham's last few games. Soucek and Fernandes have been brilliant in central midfield for them. Absolutely brilliant, right? And you sit there and go, he would get in above Soucek.
I haven't seen him. I talk. Two of my closest friends in West Ham, they tell me how they rate players. That's what I'm going.
You've never seen Soucek play. You've never seen Soucek play. That's what you're saying.
Soucek play low. He's been at West Ham for years, James. I've seen him play.
So who's better, him or Archie Gray?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Do you know what, James?
Why can't you tell us?
Get in at Wolves?
I tell you why.
Does Archie Gray get in central midfield for Wolves above Andre and Yao Gomez?
Probably not. Those. I mean, no. That's the best part. That's the best part of Wolves' team, isn't it?
Probably not, Lubo. He's not on the same planet as those two as football. This is the problem, right? So I look at this entire league table, and for me, the only team, arguably, by the way, I don't think he is Burnley. Arguably, he doesn't get into any other midfield. So when you're looking at Tottenham and saying, we spent 40 million on this kid 2 years ago, and this is a guy that doesn't get into any other midfield in the Premier League. That is crazy.
Right, but you have earlier said on this show that look at the mess, look at the different coaching, the different styles, different managers. He's played in 7 different positions. What do you expect if you mismanage a player in that way? And you just drop him in as a utility player, there's a gap there, let's chuck him in. What do you expect? How do you expect him to develop? How do you expect him? I think there is a very, very good player in there with the right management at the right club.
Right, but that wasn't.
How is any kid with the last 2 years, Sav, meant to develop with the rubbish that we've watched? It's been appalling. It's been the worst 2 years football I can remember since the 90s, maybe even worse, maybe even further back. And we're expecting players to flourish with these coaches, with the constant changing. You were talking about no partnerships. So we all know how badly Spurs are run. But the question is about Archie Gray now as a footballer, because I've not seen anything other than moments in 2 years of him playing that makes me think I'm really glad we signed this kid, right? When Palace signed
Wharton, from day one, you went, that boy can play. A bit like no caveats, no, oh, look at Adam Wharton went to Palace. They were in danger of relegation. Right? He goes straight in the 11, and all the Palace fans went, God, this boy can play. This boy's pulling strings at the age of 19.
He is an exceptional player. Wharton is an exceptional player.
He is. And that's the difference, right? That's my point, Lubo. This is my point, is that the teams that we were well above, like Palace, like Wolves, like Forest, these clubs went and bought better youngsters than we did, right? So when I'm looking and saying, why are we in the position we are now? I'm not blaming the youngsters, but then all the fans that constantly ask them to play. All last week, all over the internet, I saw all these tacticos going, it's got to be Graham Bergvall midfield for the legs, for the youth, for the passing, and they got their wish. I've seen everyone all season, Paulinho, Bentancur, Basuma. These players are superior to Graham Bergvall. They are superior to them, but they're not cool. They're not young. They're not edgy. So our fans don't want them. So we've got what we wanted. We've got what we wanted. We've got lots of the fan base that want Tell in the team. Lots of the fan base that rate Solanke. Lots of the fan base that wanted Gray in central midfield. Well, we've got it. We've got it. And this is what it looks like.
Well, the problem is that we don't have these players anymore that we had under Poch.
Sure, but do you acknowledge that Basuma, Bentancur and Paulinho are superior to Gray? Do we acknowledge that?
Yes, my point regarding Paulinho and the Bentancur pivots was that I thought they set up brilliantly away from home in the first part of the season. And we played on the counter-attack, and the two of them defensively broke up play. But when it came to the home games, we were laborious going forward. Teams were playing a low block. Between them, Paulinho and Bentancur were not progressing the ball quickly enough, and we didn't have the players up front that could break down a low block. But we know we've seen enough of the players this season to know, apart from Kudus, that we are completely lacking in ability up front.
The problem is you just said that.
James, I was looking for a solution so we could break down teams quicker at home and get better results, because the results at home.
But the results have got worse since we've made that change. Do you acknowledge that?
It's been. Well, listen, it's.
I can tell where you are. You acknowledge, though, that the thing was, and I said this at the time, right? Many people said this at the time. We understand the football shit to watch. We understand it's not exciting. But I think, and this is where I'm so frustrated with Thomas Frank, right? And this is where I do respect Stell for what he says, that he didn't rate Frank. But for me, Frank should have stuck to his guns. I think Frank acknowledged we're not that great at the back and we're not that great going forward. So he's going to make Bentancur and Paulinho in the middle to make us hard to beat. Paulinho and Bentancur offer defensive stability. They offer good height to help the centre-backs as well, and they sniff out danger, right? Yes, it's not exciting. Yes, it wasn't good football, but we were picking up points. Everyone, including you, wanted that broken up. And I said at the time, be careful what you wish for, because with those two, you know what you're getting. Since that partnership was broken up, right, even before Bentancur got injured, this is where I was so frustrated with Frank for listening to other people, right? Since that partnership got broken up, it's been a mishmash of Sarr, Bergvall, Gallagher, Gray. It's been an absolute mishmash, and it's not worked. So all I'm asking is, do people acknowledge now why Thomas Frank put Paulinho and Bentancur in front of that back four to protect them? Do you acknowledge that, though? Like, that's all I'm asking.
Their desire to play good football has got us relegated, right?
My point...
Yes, James.
The point I was making, Sav, was that the home form has not improved, but we weren't going to carry on with a percentage points position of 4 wins and a draw out of 5 away games. It wasn't going to carry on.
We didn't need to continue that.
Sorry?
We didn't need to continue that. The difference was, by hook or crook, I remember sitting here after the Everton game where we were third, and still, how many of you moaned at the style of play? How many of you moaned? It's boring. This isn't sustainable. Then Thomas Frank changed it, and it all fell apart.
Well,
and I remember sitting there going, "This is what you lot asked for."
No, he played.
You asked for this.
Sav, he played Bentancur and Paulinho against Chelsea the week after Everton.
Sure.
We lost. He then, against Man United, he then dropped Bentancur, put Sarr in, brought them back together for Arsenal away.
Yeah.
Against Fulham, brought Gray in for Bentancur. Up at Newcastle, dropped Paulinho and brought Bentancur in.
Right, so you're seeing a pattern. So you're seeing a pattern. After that game, he started rotating, and it didn't look as good, right?
He dropped Paulinho and Gray for Newcastle, played Bentancur and Sarr. Against Brentford, then played Bentancur and Gray.
I get it. I get it.
Against Forest, Bentancur and Gray.
Lubo, we get it. Lubo, we get it. But the point
and the same
was
against Liverpool. So
sure, Lubo, we get it. But the point is that at the beginning of the season, he wasn't rotating that. We were playing Bentancur and Paulinho, and every man and their dog had a hissy fit. This isn't the Spurs way. I don't care if we're picking up points. This isn't the Spurs way. It's not sustainable. We've come away from it. He's played all the players. Then Frank started playing all the players that you wanted, and it got worse. Right?
Can I just say, because I'm obviously taking some stick in the comments, which is fine. People don't need to agree with me. My point wasn't middle of after 7-8 games last season. My point wasn't throw Gray in. My point was change up the midfield because we're not progressing the ball quickly enough.
No, your point was put Gray in.
No, not necessarily. What I wanted was for Gray.
You come on and said play Gray.
Listen. You could have played any of them. Basuma.
That's not what you said, though. You can't change your opinion.
No. My point was specifically about the Bentancur Paulinho situation.
No, it wasn't.
I prefer to keep Paulinho as the 6 because he is the better of Paulinho and Bentancur as a 6. So for me, we're not progressing the ball forward enough. We've got to get players forward. And I actually said, fine, you stick Gray in for a few games. If it doesn't work, change it, pull him out, but give him an opportunity.
Gray has never worked, ever. Well, so why should we be giving him another opportunity?
James, the Gray-Simmons partnership against Madrid was very, very good for 90 minutes.
That wasn't a central midfield partnership, was it? This is the thing.
It was an 8 and a 10.
Sure, but when Stell pointed this out, he wasn't the only one. But if I use my own name, it sounds arrogant. When Stell pointed this out, right, the Atletico Madrid game where everyone lost their mind was a dead rubber. Atletico Madrid came to our ground with a 3-goal lead, and from minute 1, Atletico Madrid didn't bother attacking. They sat there and went, all right, cool, come at us. Right, come at us. The moment they conceded, they started going to attack. Okay, they've then got the 3-goal cushion back. Right? But everyone went, cool, look how they play. Well, yeah, it's okay to play when the other team has nothing to play for. You then play a team like Sunderland, right? You play a team like Sunderland where they play how they play, in your face, hardworking, energetic, fight for every ball in every game. Yeah. And suddenly everyone shits themselves. By the way, I've got some data here, right? Gray, right? So this season started 56% of our games, right? Won 3 of them, lost 11, drawn 4. Right? Now, I'm not blaming Gray, but this is why I don't want Grays in central midfield. I think if we had stuck to the senior pros, whether that be Basuma or Bentancur or Paulinho, I don't think we're in this mess right now. I don't. I feel that the hype around and by the way, you know I've been consistent on this for 2 years. The 2 years I've been consistent on this. When that boy plays, I think we look weak. I think we look fragile. I think the way he started the game the other day, he looked fragile. And someone's just sent me this. Look, like we're gonna talk about how good this boy is, right? Let's have a look. This is Archie Gray's season performance, right? Look at how much of this data is absolutely awful and not in green, right? I don't worry so much about the goals. It's not his game. I don't care about all that, right? Look at his passing. It's okay, right? Like there's nothing. His long balls aren't accurate, right?
So is it a question? I don't know if it's true or not, but I mean, 42 successful dribbling and 82% passing for a number 8. That That's dreadful, no? Absolutely dreadful. Jules 1. Ridiculous.
But the colour, is down to the ranking of other midfielders, right, in the Premier League. Look how much of this is just red and orange. Like, he's not been dribbled past a lot. Superb. He's right up there for that. Good for clearances. But you look at it. Possession 1 in the final third. So he's not pressing. Right? Recoveries isn't that much considering how many games he plays. Like, I just think that everybody, and you watch, if he plays against Brighton and we win, everyone will go, "Oh, see, Archie Gray." Like, look, I'm kind of bored. I want something new next year. I don't want to see Archie Gray in midfield next year. I don't.
And I don't want it to be a show of just bashing Archie Gray, because I started off on it was everybody for me, right? Tell the same. How people are saying, yeah, but if we play Tell over Richarlison, the guy's got like 1 assist. Like, what do you think is going to be different? And it goes for Tell, it goes for Solanke, it goes for Richarlison, it goes for all of it. To be honest, I'll include the likes of Bentancur and Basuma in there. I don't want to see those guys anymore either. They're not good enough. They're better than what we have, but they're not good enough. I don't want to see Romero. I don't want to see Van der Ven. I don't want any. I want a clean slate. I said it for ages. I would have dropped Romero and played Danso for ages ago. And I stand by that, because at least Danso's a defender who wants to defend, whether you rate him tactically or not. I agree. Romero, passing-wise, light years ahead. But for me, there's a player that plays in my boys' team, and he's unbelievable. But every game, what he does is he runs into the midfield, loses the ball, and we concede. Every game without fail, we'll do it 2 or 3 times. But what he will do is he'll get into the midfield, play a pass, and we'll score. And you're like, all right, fair. But it's exactly the same as Romero. Every 3 or 4 good passes, he makes 3 or 4 bad mistakes by positional awareness for me. And this is my point with the Greys and the Bergvals. They are not good footballers. I don't believe we need players to roll up their sleeve and run around and tackle when we need tackling, because that side of things is irrelevant if you can't keep hold of a football. And for me, this team cannot keep hold of a football. A lot of people think defend is rolling your sleeves up, that hard tackle. It's not. Hard defending is if you keep the ball. Keep the ball, they can't score because you have the ball. And that is where Tottenham have lost everything for me. And that is down to Gray, Bergvall, Tell. The amount of times Tell was 1-on-1 with a defender and he'll just run into the defender, lose the ball, and a counter-attack it goes. Richarlison, the weak shots. I can't remember what game it was, but he had an open goal header, and I think it might have been Arsenal. Was it Arsenal? He could have scored the header, and then they countered and scored. Again, he scores that header, different game. For me, it's not just the kids. It is the footballing ability of this club. I don't think I've ever seen it any worse than what it is now. And I'll include the likes of Kulu, Kudos, Maddison in that club. As a collective, I do not think there's any good footballers in this club.
Well, just quickly, by the way, this is Paulinho, right?
Savva, I've got to go.
All right, mate. See you later. See you later. Thank you. By the way, we're going to go in the next 10 minutes, but thanks, Stel. Appreciate you. This is Paulinho, right? So if you look, you can go up to the passing stats. We know it's not going to be good, right?
Yeah.
If we go to the passing, we know this is poor. By the way, he's only 2% worse off successful passes as Gray. But look, this is our DM. Look at his actual shooting stats. Are very good, right?
Uh-huh.
Look at that. Brilliant. Now look at his possession stats. Duels 1, right? Aerial duels 1. He's up there for the highest in the league for nearly all of these metrics. Now look at his defending. Yeah. Look at, right? This is what I want in my team. That's what I want in my team in a battle. So why are these managers that are all now constantly just going Archie Gray? It feels, James, to me that it's an experiment. It feels to me that we're looking forward to the future and we've almost admitted that we're down rather than trying to preserve Premier League safety. And that's that difference. When people tell me he's really good, did you see that one pass? Look at the data overall and the levels of Bentancur and Pauli. Their data is so much better because they get it.
Mate, 100%. And it ain't just the kids. I've been calling out Dominic Solanke for ages. when he scored that kind of scorpion kick thing on Sean, like big up Sean, called me out continuously. You said he was crap. You said this. You said that. He has literally gone missing since that one goal. Like literally gone missing again. So for me, it is not the kids. It is the level of footballer in this club is so poor. The ones we have are at best our championship level. And I do include Polina in that as a footballer. For me, I don't know. For me, when we have people sticking up for players that are not good, one good cross by Tell, one good take on by Odegaard, one good goal from Solanke. Oh, but that clearance in the Champions League from Van der Ven. Those one good moments bring good moments, exactly what they are, but consistency, it ain't good. It's nowhere near where we need to be.
Before we move on, James, right? This is what made me like. This is Bergvall, right? This is Bergvall. When people tell me this is a good footballer, oh, and Chelsea want him, and Chelsea, please come in and give us loads of money. I do not know what our fans see in this boy, right? This is Bergvall. Right? So this is his attacking stats, so to speak. Look at the state of this. One goal, right? Look at all of that. It's absolutely horrific, right? If we scroll down, right? Look at his passing stats. Look at this. It's absolutely horrific, right? Chances created. He's created 4 chances all season. Look at his possession stats. The dribbling's good because we know he can carry the ball. Look at everything else. Absolutely doesn't win duels. Doesn't win aerial duels. Right? Look at this guy. Doesn't get in the opposition box. Look at his defensive stat. This guy, if he wasn't 20, everyone would be telling you how shit he is. If he played for Arsenal, we'd all be laughing at how shit he is. And all I've heard all year, good player, Bergvall. Good.
Can you do that with Star? Can you do that with Star?
Sorry? I think his stats would be much better in a much better team with much better players. So,
well, obviously,
okay. Do you not agree? Do you not agree?
Okay. So pick
the coaches who teach him how to play.
This is the answer for every player that doesn't do what fans want them to do. It's always better player, better coaches, better player, better coach. Sure, but those stats can't just be down to, him as a footballer. He should have better stats than that in general.
I think his form this season has fallen off a cliff compared to
what did he do last year? What did he do last year?
He was much better last year than this year.
But what?
Just everything. He didn't lose the ball as much. His passing, he gave the ball off. His decision making was better. I just think
Savva, with that, can you get SARS up? I'd like to see the difference in SAR with Gray and Bergvall. I know he's rubbish as well, but I'd like to see if he's actually better than those two. Because if he is,
he's much better than those two. Look, he's absolutely much better. So this is his attacking stats.
Wow.
Right. Then you look down. His passing stats. So his successful pass percentage is better than the other two as well.
And that's one of the things everyone criticizes him for, right?
Yeah. Successful dribble. Listen, I don't rate any of these players, but
no, neither do I. But is that has got to be a sign, right? The levels of Archie Gray and Bergvall when we are comparing him to Sarr, who everyone thinks is rubbish, and he's levels above, right?
And this is the point. Look, for me, as I said, if you're people always say you're bashing the young players. You know what? If Spurs want a young player, go and buy a young player and mould him into the team. We went out and bought Gray, Bergvall, Sarr, Vuskovic, Phillips, Tell, Odegaard, and it's like, stop buying youngsters. Stop buying youngsters. And second of all, can we wait for them? Like, if one of our youngsters had had a season like Krupi at Bournemouth, right? I turn around and go, that's a good season for a young player. That's why they're getting the hype. But look what happened just then when I asked about what team Gray gets in. We're talking about him going in above Souček at West Ham. You ask any West Ham fan if they want Souček or Archie Gray in their midfield. Do you want the man? Do you want the physical man who's good in the air, gets his foot in, blah, blah, or do you want Archie Gray? Like, I don't know what we're doing. This is how far, this is why when we rate all these players, James, this is why I'm not surprised we are in the bottom three, because we have got sections of fans that love Gray, sections of fans that Romero's world class. No, he's bloody not. You know, Adogi, when Adogi comes back, what? When Adogi comes back, what? What is he going to do? Get injured again?
Yeah, I agree.
Porro with a different manager, Porro will do what with a different manager? Like,
I know. He's not a defender, is he? I thought Adogi was better defensively on Sunday than he has been. I thought, apart from one really good cross, I thought his crossing was poor. But I thought defensively he was better.
For me, trying to put try to finish it on a positive is.
Here we go. Do you want to see Thomas Souček? Like, let's just this is Thomas Souček's season for West Ham, and what no one can tell me, but he's in a better team because West Ham are about 2 points above us and have been below us all year. This is Thomas Souček, right? So there's his attacking straight away, right? Look at all that green. Look at all that green, right? Now look at this. Now here we know he's not a passer of the ball, so yeah, he's shit at that, right? Look at this. Look at all this green in possession and defending stats and stuff. Look, these
not much green there still, Sav. Not much green, mate. There's not much. There's a couple, 2 or 3 in each.
Sorry, there's not. Yes, but look at it. But look at the oranges are high up here. Archie Grays were all down here, mate. Look, sorry. Look at they are.
Children's memory loss, Luba. It's old age.
It's levels to this game. Levels
for me personally, I think with the injuries that we've got and the players that are available, we have a championship level squad with a couple of good players. And if the good players are not on form, and look, Romero's not crap, Porro's not crap, Van der Ven's not crap, but when they're not on form, the rest they're just as good as everybody else in that club and that squad, and that is championship level. So for me, if those guys don't overperform, you're a championship level squad, and that for me is the biggest problem of them all. Right? It is that in my opinion, our lesser players are mid-table championship at best, and our better players are maybe top 6. When you have no in between, you've just got those or those. It's a struggle. To be honest, mate, I've watched Norwich a few times. I would take majority of their squad, their midfield and their front line over what we've got. I really would, because of what I'm seeing with Tottenham. The only saving hope / delusion I have left is I think De Zerbi is a really good coach, a really, really good coach. I think it's wishful thinking trying to think that he's going to get something out of the last 6, but I'm wishing, to be honest. I really am. If we stay up, in my opinion, it's nothing to do with the players. It's purely based on him. And if we do stay up, which I don't think we will now, I would love him to say goodbye, everybody, and just start afresh. But we know Enoch will never do that. So I just don't see how this ship turns. I don't see how we guide this now into the right direction.
It's a problem, isn't it? Without new owners, James, I don't see a bright future. Genuinely don't. I just don't see. I think it's going to cost to bring this squad back to challenging for Europe, challenging top 4, £1 billion.
And the rest.
£1 billion.
And the rest. If you're telling me that
money,
even if it is, if you're saying Elliot Anderson's 100 to 150 million pound player, you're only going to get 6 or 7 of them in to turn up, and we need 6 or 7 of them minimum to get back into Europe. You're talking of more than £1 billion spend, more, unless, like what we said, you can scout a proper player, pick them up. You know, like for me, a Gomez you'd get for 30-40 million pounds. That is where you should be going at.
James.
Someone like that. For me, Adeyemi was, everyone laughed at him, and then we beat him in the Champions League, and they said, "Told you he was crap." He had an awful game. Someone like that would score us 7-8 goals this season from January, in my opinion, and we would stay up. That is the difference.
Right. Who at the club has the knowledge to put the right director of football in place?
No one. That's the point. That's the spiral, right? That is the problem, because this is like, for me, it's unfair for me to criticise Archie Gray, because he shouldn't be in the club in the first place. For me personally, he shouldn't be in the club in the first place. The fact that he's in the club is the problem in the first place, and that is the owners and the directors of football and whoever you want to put. For me, that is the problem. It's not that Archie Gray's not good enough. It's not Bergval's not good enough. It's not Tell. I mean, the problem is someone saw Tell for a season and thought, you know what, I'll invest some more money in him. That's the problem.
Jules.
Listen, my worry with this is, if you take, let's round this all up. If you take out Paulinho, you lose a lot, right? You don't have a single tackler in that team. Gray is not a tackler, right? He's not. His stats in his data show you he can't tackle. He doesn't win duels, right? Sarr, I mean, doesn't really. Bergval can't tackle to save his life. Every time he tackled someone at the weekend, it ended up being a foul. Every single time he tackled someone, right? Look, I think this all comes down to, forget Gray, forget Bergval, Gallagher. We have created a really bad selection of midfielders. I think, can we all agree that we have created this mess where we're all arguing about one average player versus another one?
Yeah,
no, definitely.
Isn't that a problem?
We don't have the Modric, Scott Parker, Dembele, Wanyama. Even Dyer in that year in 15-16 in midfield when Leicester won the league. Dyer
even the likes of Jermaine Genius. You don't have to be the top of the top. We don't have the level below that or the level below that.
Joe, look at what we've got up front. We've been discussing midfield mainly, but look at the forwards.
The worst, I said it 2 years ago on Stell's channel. It's the worst front line I've ever seen in my life.
It is.
And that was with Son. And that was with Son, in my opinion. Yeah, he scored 10 or 12 goals.
It's on a par. It's on a par, James, with Raziak and Andy Booth. That's.
No, I'd take both of them. I'd take both of them. Kolo Muani has scored 1 goal all season. I'd take both of them over him.
Well, neither of them scored many goals for Spurs, let me tell you.
Yeah, but Kolo Muani is getting serious minutes now and not scoring either. Like, none. And he's not affecting any game either. That's the problem.
Their stats were on the same sort of level. That's how poor it was then. Listen, we don't have the quality at the club. That's the problem. And I'm slowly getting my head. I'm slowly. I've been in. How can I put it? I go most weeks, and I look back. I just look back to Everton 17 from 9. I look at 2 wins out the last 22, last 23. I'm still trying to get my head around how it's gone. How it's gone from there. We've gone from 3rd to 18th. It's not like we've gone. And listen, we weren't the 3rd best team in the Premier League by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm not saying we were the 3rd best team. In the first 9 games, we were the 3rd best team.
You know the problem as well, and long-term problem, it is me, my son, don't even want to go to the stadium anymore. Like, and I love Tottenham. It's always been like my number one. Like, me and my missus used to joke, it was Tottenham, the missus, then the family. Like, that was what we always should say. And now, like, I was talking to my son when we lost to Sunderland, and I said, "Would you want to go?" And he went, "No, I'm not driving 2-3 hours to get there." And I said, "Mate, I'll make you exactly right. I'm exactly the same."
That's a shame, isn't it?
What a shame! I mean, I think it was a year ago. We took him there, and I think we met you, Lubo. It was actually Ipswich. You still ain't refunded me for that.
Well, if you look at this, no, not this. Sorry, guys, that's not what I'm
But
after.
if you look at it like that, he said to me, I said, buy which the thing what I used to get is I'd go to a game, I'd get a shirt and a name. I went to the stadium, I said, pick a shirt with your name on, and he said, I don't want a kit, don't like anybody. He picked a shirt with no name and a training kit because it had no name on it. That is so sad that our club has become something that there's nothing to gloat about. When we was young, I used to scream out names when I was scoring a goal with our players. Now you'd get laughed at because they're all crap. They don't score goals. It is such a shame that our club is spiraled so quickly, so far down, that we're in trouble.
It's been a drastic drop, hasn't it? Since Christmas, since Palace, since New Year's Day.
Look, if you look at the forwards, there. I mean, look at the absolute state of that, right? Mawani, 1 goal. Solanke 3, Tell 3, right? Simmons 1. You know, you look at those 4, it's absolutely atrocious. Only Richie on 9. And by the way, a striker in the Premier League should have 9 goals. Like, it's absolutely atrocious. But again, when you mention that these players are atrocious, right? When you mention that these players are atrocious, you get told, agendas, narratives. What agenda? They're not good players. These are not good players. Richie has never been a top Premier League player. Solanke's never been a good Premier League player. Tell, Odegaard, Mawat, like, but we back it every. You watch how many people will comment into my show after, going, see, you hate every player. We're bottom 3, haven't won in 14, but people want to defend every player. Fine, cool. I'm wrong. All the players are great. I know nothing.
I actually
score a goal and it will change their opinion.
James. The only hope is that, and I said last week, what could De Zerbi do with this team, with this group of players? If he cuts out the unforced errors and he gets concentration better, he gets players concentrating better, which means they're more aware, they're doing their jobs better, then just maybe we'll nick a few results, because if we make fewer mistakes, we're going to concede fewer goals. The problem
I agree. Is there's no time.
It was for Sunderland to go up to Sunderland and then only have 2 shots on target, which was a deflected goal and the save by Kinski, is an improvement for Tottenham. That's the lowest number of shots on target from an opposition team I think we've had all season.
Yeah, and I don't think sometimes, right, not making excuses because I'm the first one to call it out, but sometimes you do need that bit of luck to turn the tide, right? Yeah. I don't feel like we deserve to lose the weekend. We definitely didn't deserve to win. Like, we definitely didn't deserve to win either. Even like yesterday's game with the Man United and the hair stroke, whatever you want to call it. Those are the things that when you're down there scrapping, they just go against you. And at the moment, it's all going against us. And that's why, for me, Tottenham messed up by getting Tudor in and not him then, because you could afford to have 4 or 5 bad results and work on it and work on it and work on it. Whereas now, everyone's opinion's kind of skewed, because no matter what happens, like you said, we've only conceded 2 shots on goal, which is a massive upgrade, right? But it's not enough because there's no points on the table. Now, we don't matter if you concede 50 shots and we have 1 and you win 1-0. It is too late for any of that. It is more important that we get a win. And look, I do think De Zerbi will get a win. I don't know. I don't even want to say we'll win this weekend. I can only hope. But every weekend, I think there's that little bit of hope. I mean, the only thing I can think of is Brighton are going to keep the ball and try and come at us, and we could counter. That is my only hope. And
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I must tell you, James, you look at Sunday. Yes, Sunderland didn't play that well and still won. And you look at the chances we had. Funny enough, Sav, after you asked which were our shots on goal, I can remember 6 or attempts on goal on Sunday. I can remember 6 of them. Richie had those 2 really good chances that he should have buried, and he tried to side foot them. I mean, it was dreadful, absolutely dreadful. He should have buried them. Solanke had a very weak header from Tell's cross, and he was also he came through. He was right on goal, wasn't he? It was point blank just before half time, and he hit it straight against the keeper. Came out and closed him down. Porro had the shot that the keeper tipped over at the end that Simmons kicked off the attack with, and he also had the shots after either Solanke or Richie's shot when Porro shot to the top corner and the keeper took it quite easily. I can't remember what the seventh one was. If we'd have had better strikers, one of those would have been taken.
None of them were top. Sorry, this is where I'm sorry. None of them were top chances. None of them were clear.
Richie should have done better with his. I'm sorry, Sav.
Yeah, hang on. Yeah, Lubo. I'm not saying he shouldn't have done better, but you're making it out like these were really good chances that Spurs created.
I thought the very first one in the first few minutes, where the ball was swung out to him and he took it. There was no one around him, and he took it for 15 yards. He just rolled it back.
We're clutching at straws. It was a horrible performance.
Isn't it fair to say though, Savva, a Premier League level striker finishes those? Is it fair to say that? if you have a Premier League level striker on that pitch at that point, he probably scores a couple of those. Is that fair to say?
I think it's absolutely very fair to say. But
that is the difference, right? And that's where I agree with what some people say about Harry Kane covering the squad for so long and covering up all the bad. Not that anyone's going to be Harry Kane level, because they're not, but all you take is one of those to go in early and it could change the whole fortune of the season. It is just, unfortunately, look, we've done the Gray and Bergvall, they're not good enough for me. The strikers are not good enough for me. The goalkeeper's not good enough for me. When you continuously have that amount of players that are not good enough, I don't know where you go. And that's the problem for me.
Well,
yeah.
listen,
So at the end of the day,
Kane and Son would have taken one of those chances that we had on Sunday for sure.
But it doesn't have to be that level.
We were still shit. I just think you did what. No offense, I think you did what you normally did, where it was another crap performance that we've tried to paper over by shots on target when most of them were
positives. Sad.
Yeah, we're just trying to look for positives. We're trying. No, yeah, I know.
Derby got it wrong. I thought it was a terrible performance. I think, again, Van der Ven and Romero showed why they are massively overhyped by everybody every week, these two. These two have been part of one of the worst back fours I've seen for 3 years in a row. And every year I get told, but it's the manager, it's the style, they're just not as good as people think. But
I don't think Udogie or Porro. I don't think Udogie or Porro were bad the weekend, though. I think some of the balls. Okay. I thought Porro, some of the balls he put in, the balls that Porro puts in, though. If you could, I said at the start of the season I'd have taken Chris Wood because of the likes of Porro, and I stand by that. Someone that just wants to stand in the box and get his head on the ball and knock it in. For me, that I do believe Porro and the likes will become so much better with an actual goal scorer up front, because he's assists. Weren't they his first season? He was comparing him to Trent. Not saying they're the same player, but you get my drift. So, look, the only hope that we've got is that De Zerbi can work miracles, right? And by admitting that, we're also admitting that the squad ain't good enough. So let's hope that he can get the best out of players. And what I do want to say is actually, one of the things that I've noticed that I like is the way De Zerbi's talking, right? They don't need coaches. They don't need to be told what they do. They need a brother. They need a father. They need a friend. They're all good players. This is what we've all been asking for under Tudor. They need a bit of love. They need a bit of support. They need a pick-me-up. So I am liking what I'm hearing. I disagreed with the squad, like you guys said, but I am liking the road he's going down, trying to build the squad, the team up.
I think you've got to hope, James, that what he's seen he's actually seen a first team match now for 105 minutes, I think it was in total. He's actually seen his team now play a competitive match. Forget the training. He's seen them in a match. He's got a much better idea, being that close up, what players can do, what they can't do, what he's got to work with, and how he can actually try and find a way to get points, and how he's going to change the team on Saturday. I think he'll have an idea. He's got to play Pellegrini and he's got to play Simmons. And to be fair, he's got to play Tell, because he's the only actual winger we've got.
I don't know. I actually don't know. I think personally, what I would do is I would probably play 4-2-2-2, and I would go Polinia. I would go Polinia, Basuma.
Yeah.
I would then go Xavi and Gallagher, and I would probably go Richarlison and Solanke. And I'd give the full freedom of the fullbacks to create the width, because in my opinion, he may be the only winger we have, but he doesn't create. So it doesn't make any difference. I would rather just try and get as many players on the pitch as you can. Ask Polinia and Basuma to sit, break up play, because Brighton are going to have a hell of a lot of the ball, and then hope that we can kind of quickly counter-attack it and leave two up top. That's my only hope.
Well, I think Solanke has vanished the last few games. You haven't seen him.
Last few games, last few years. He's fucking shit. What do you mean last few games? He's been dreadful. Again, Lubo, this is the point. It's another one where people have, for 2 years, I've just heard excuse after excuse why Solanke was a good signing. 57 million for Dominic Solanke. We deserve to be in the position we're in. Sorry, we do. Can't keep signing shit like that.
No, he scored 6 in 18 this season.
I don't care what he's done. He's a shit footballer.
Listen, we've been blessed, Sav. We've been blessed with some cracking centre forwards for years and years and years. And Solanke, Richie, Moani, they're all a massive drop off from what we've been used to. I'm just trying to look for some sort of positive, some sort of hope that we can stay up.
I need to see some positive. I need to see some positive for me to be positive. I didn't see anything away at Sunderland. I'll be honest. And as somebody who was very happy with De Zerbi coming in, and I am happy with it, I was so disappointed by everything he did. His team lineup, the style of play, the subs. His comments afterwards where he said we played really well. And the boys showed passion, and I'm like, sorry, mate, we're not blind. Like we're not blind. What are you lying to us for? Like, why are you lying to us? If any Spurs fan came away from that and thought that was good, I worry.
Do you think, Sav? Do you think that he is going out of his way not to knock the team in a press conference and criticise the team? Because he's got to get these. He's talking about being a brother and what have you. So he can't actually say you need an arm round you and at the same time go out and tell the press that they're a load of shit.
He doesn't have to tell the press they're a load of shit. He doesn't have to tell the press.
You know how players are. They're precious. You start making any sort of criticism, they'll unfortunately they'll react the wrong way. We haven't got players with the character that we used to have with the Roberts and the Millers and all of that. And even like Parkers and Modric's and Dembele's and Wanyama. We don't have those sort of players today, unfortunately. We just don't have any of them.
I know, but again, we always benchmark back to this. You don't need to have Modric's and Dembele's. Nottingham Forest don't have Modric's and Dembele's. Fulham don't. Bournemouth don't. Brighton don't. Brentford don't. These teams buy sensibly for what they need.
I'm talking about Sam, I'm talking mentally. I'm not talking ability. I'm talking mentally.
Okay, mentally, same thing. Same thing. So why the Bournemouth players and the Brentford players and the Brighton players? I think we look too much to look at the team Poch had. Why can't we do? These other clubs don't have that, but they buy what they need. They buy what they need.
And we haven't, have we?
Do you think if he goes with 3 or 4 in midfield, whoever that may, whether that will be Basuma, Polinia, Javi, Gallagher, is that enough
Nothing
to get? You don't think that's a Premier League good enough midfield?
I do, if you've been practicing with it, playing with it, and if there's consistency with it, right?
Fair.
When you're 6 games to go and going, right, let's try and now find an 11 that works. And again, as I said earlier in the show, James, he has to change the 11 because the 11 this week was the wrong 11. But yet again, what that means is it's another game in a row where we've changed. So another game in a row where a new midfield partnership, a new forward partnership, a new set. It's never settled. And I truly thought that De Zerbi, the way he talked a great game last week about being on the front foot, being brave, attacking, and then leaves out the only winger and the only playmaker at the club. And I thought, mate, you've just chatted shit, haven't you? Like, you weren't brave. You weren't brave. You picked a really non-plus midfield with no attacking creativity in it at all. Right? You picked two forwards to play out wide who don't naturally get on the ball and get crosses in. I thought he shit the bed a bit, if I'm honest, and I liked De Zerbi, but I thought he shit the bed.
You got to hope that he's realised his mistake, recognised it, and changes accordingly.
But trying to play devil's advocate, could that not be the way that they're training or the attitude that they've showed during the week or 10 days? If they walked around, couldn't be asked, couldn't put in any effort in. So he's picked the players thinking, I'll pick the ones that are up for the fight, and the ones that are prepared to put in the extra miles. Could that be, I mean, wishful thinking, could that be a kick up the arse for the guys that didn't play? Also, is he right to play the players that he's playing over the players that don't care? Because lately we've seen Javi play create nothing, do nothing. As of late, Tell never done anything other than run around a lot. So it's not like we're taking out like Richarlison and adding in a Heung-min Son or Gareth Bale, right? We're just like for like level of ability.
But the problem is, James, for me, is I would have thought brand new manager, right? 5-year contract. So it's not like Tudor coming in and they know he's not the manager next year. All this hype about the training and all the players saying it's different, it's brilliant, this is great. I would have expected to come out flying. You know, energy, passion, drive, determination. And what I saw was a couple of counterattacks and not really a lot else. We just looked, it just looked absolutely shambolic. And it looked like it was just a continuation from Tudor, if I'm honest. I thought it was shit. I thought it was really bad.
Sam, I thought the first, everyone around me was saying, you know, first 5 or 10 was better. And you could see that De Zerbi got them pumped up. And then it just went. It just went after that. It was interesting. I was just listening to Danny Murphy yesterday, just saying that he thought that there was no lack of effort from Tottenham over all the 90 minutes. He said there's just lack of ability and quality up front. He said, you know, you've got to take one of these chances comes along, you're struggling, you've got to be able to take it. He said, and it just wasn't there. The quality wasn't there. So, you know,
all right then, boys. Well, I've got to go.
Yeah, I'm going to wrap up the show soon anyway, yeah.
All right, take care.
See you, James.
Yeah. So I just seen that the hippies made a short about me, apparently. Oh, good God. I honestly, you know when you just think, we got to grow up. Like, just, Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Just ignore it.
Just hilarious. Just hilarious. Anyway, let's do some super chats, shall we? James, if you need to jump, mate, I get it. Feel free to. I think he's gone.
He's gone. He's gone. Yeah, he's gone.
I'll be some super chats. Big up to everyone. Big up to Gear, who said, "Hi guys, for a positive angle, what can De Zerbi do with the lineup and tactics to beat Brighton?" I'll be honest, mate. I don't really know at this stage. First of all, what I would say is I would definitely get Tell back. I would definitely get Tell back in on the left, and I would get Simmons in, and I would actually try and get some wide play and some playmaker into the team. That's what I would do. But Brighton are the most informed team in the country. So this is going to be a really, really tough game. And I expect Brighton to dominate the game. But we'll see, mate. Thank you very much. David has put in 3 super chats. Thank you very much. Really appreciate the super sticker, my man. Very generous. He's come back in. Said, good morning, Savva from Spurs in Newquay. Savva, do the guys think we can win at the weekend? I don't think we will.
I don't either.
Can we? It's a game of football. Anyone can win. Will we? I need to see something. I've not seen anything for 14 games now that suggests we will, but we'll see, mate. Big up to you. He's come back in again. Very generous. To Savva and all the guys on your show, do we think if we don't win at the weekend, we're down? I do. I think if we lose to Brighton, I think we're down. I'm looking at who West Ham and Forest have got this weekend. I think we're down. I do if we don't win this weekend, yes. But hey, Lubo?
If we go more than 3 points behind the club that's 17th, I don't see us pulling it back. I think if we're within one game, then there's a chance. I said if we go 5 points behind, if West Ham get a win at Palace, and interesting, Palace got a good result at the weekend, didn't they? That they came back, they beat Newcastle, they thumped Fiorentina 3-0. He's brought them back. Glasner's brought them back into a little bit of form. They go to Fiorentina on Thursday, and which they should see through, which will take them to the Polish team in the semi-finals. Can't think what the name of them are. And if you've negotiated a 2-leg quarter-final with Fiorentina and you've beaten Newcastle coming back late, but deservedly evidently. He then takes them into a game on Sunday against West Ham.
Lubo, this was a super chat. I'm trying to wrap up the show.
Sorry.
Come on. I'm really trying to wrap up the show.
Well, people win at the weekends.
Yeah, that was it.
Probably not. Probably not. Probably not.
Big up, David. Thank you very much. Happy Chappy said, I like you, Lubo, but look at Nico Riley. Recently turned 21, a key player. Levels, absolute levels. That's the problem. Levels.
In a proper club with proper managers, and he's been brought through in the proper way.
And he's just a much better footballer, which people always seem to leave off. He's a much better footballer than Bergvall and Gray at everything. Big up, Happy Chappy. Let's move that one on. Big up to Mansion Monster. Said, Tottenham current midfield has many fighters and counter-attacking players, but they lack players who can withstand pressure, are compact and quick-witted. Mate, I don't think there's a lot of anything in any of them, if I'm brutally honest. I don't think there's there's a lot of anything. I don't rate many of them, but yeah, agree with you in the main. Big up David again, coming to see Savva. The guys on the show, what's the best Spurs team we had at the club? Have the guys got some teams that would keep us up today? Poch's team was very good. Harry's team, the 91 team under Venables, the 84 team that won. I mean, we could go to loads, right?
There are loads.
Loads of good teams. But, mate, they would all definitely keep us up. But it's about these players now. Big up to David again. Very generous, mate. Thank you so much for your support. And Andy Lester, big up, mate. Says, if don't see anything that Gray offers over many of the mids who have come from our academy, only difference is he costs 40 million. The rest didn't. Andy, that's the problem. I don't see why is he better than Tyrese Hall? Why was he better than a Nabil Bentaleb or a Skip or a Win? I don't get it. Lubo likes him. Each to their own.
Listen,
I don't get it.
I have also said that I felt that instead of spending 40 million on Gray, they should have pushed George Abbott through, because I like Abbott, and we'll see him tonight, Sav. We'll see him.
Yeah, we will see him tonight.
See how he plays and what you think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, with that in mind, I'm going to go. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate you all. Guys, apologies if me being on YouTube every now and then annoys people. Apparently, it's frustrating people and they make videos about me for no reason. It's very strange behavior from grown men. But it is what it is. Take care. Much love. And as always, come on, you Spurs.